The fork clattered against porcelain, too loud in the sudden silence. Nathan Cole watched his date's eyes flicker to the exit, that universal look people wore when they'd already left the conversation, but their body hadn't caught up yet. 23 minutes. That's how long it took for Vanessa to realize a 32-year-old janitor with a 6-year-old daughter wasn't what she'd signed up for. She smiled anyway, thin and practiced, while delivering the killing blow disguised as kindness. "You're such a good dad, Nathan. Some woman is going to be really lucky someday." Translation, not me, never me. And as she excused herself to the restroom, grabbing her purse, because of course she was, Nathan sat alone at a table set for two, wondering if invisible was just his permanent setting. But this isn't a story about being overlooked. It's about what happens when someone finally sees you, and when pretending becomes the most honest thing you've ever done. If you want to see how far this story has traveled, drop a comment with your city below and hit that like button. Now let me tell you how a fake relationship became the realest thing in Nathan Cole's life. The apartment smelled like burnt toast and berry shampoo when Nathan walked through the door at 6:47 a.m. His daughter, Emma, sat cross-legged in front of the television in her pajamas, purple dinosaur prints faded from too many washes, her wild brown curls forming a halo that defied every brush he'd ever bought. "Morning, Bug," Nathan said, dropping his keys in the ceramic dish by the door, the one Emma had made in art class, lopsided and painted with handprints. "You're late," Emma said without looking away from the screen. "Cereal got soggy. Then I guess I'm having coffee for breakfast." Nathan moved to the kitchen, stepping over the scattered crayons and coloring books that marked their living room like territorial flags. The coffee maker sputtered to life, and he leaned against the counter, letting the familiar ritual settle the restlessness that had followed him home from last night's disaster. 3 dates in 4 months. 3 variations of the same ending. "Dad?" "Yeah, Bug?" "Is today waffle day?" Nathan checked his watch. "Thursday." "Tomorrow's waffle day. Today's Thursday." "Thursday's boring." "Thursday keeps the world running," Nathan said, pouring coffee into his favorite mug. The one that said, "World's okayest dad," a gift from his sister who knew him too well. "Friday's just Thursday's cool younger brother who gets all the attention." Emma finally turned to look at him, her expression serious in that way 6-year-olds managed when they were about to say something profound. "Jenna's mom says you're handsome." Nathan nearly choked on his coffee. "What?" "At pickup. She told Miss Rodriguez you're handsome, but you work too much." Emma returned her attention to the cartoon, matter of fact. "What's handsome mean?" "It means—" Nathan rubbed the back of his neck, heat creeping up his collar. "It means someone looks nice." "Like when I wear my princess dress?" "Exactly like that." "Okay." Emma nodded, satisfied. "Can I have the blue cup?" Nathan retrieved the blue plastic cup from the cabinet, the one with cartoon fish swimming around the rim, and poured orange juice while his mind replayed Emma's words. Jenna's mom. Sarah Mitchell. She'd smiled at him last week during pickup, held eye contact a beat too long. He'd assumed it was politeness, the kind of acknowledgement people offered when they shared the same school parking lot rotation. He'd been wrong about these things before. The morning proceeded in its usual choreography. Emma picked out clothes that almost matched. Nathan braided her hair into something that resembled the tutorials he'd watched on YouTube, secured with the purple elastics she insisted were her power bands. Breakfast was quick. Graham crackers and apple slices because they were running 5 minutes behind, and Emma's teacher had already sent 2 gentle reminders about punctuality. "Backpack, shoes, jacket," Nathan recited their departure checklist. "Got it, got it, got it." Emma hopped on one foot while pulling on her sneakers, the ones with lights in the heels that she'd begged for until Nathan's resolve had crumbled in the clearance aisle of Target. They made it to the car with 3 minutes to spare. The old Honda Civic smelled like French fries and Emma's strawberry chapstick, the passenger seat adjusted forward to accommodate her booster. Nathan had bought the car used 6 years ago, right after Emma was born, when his life had reorganized itself around someone small and helpless who needed everything from him. The drive to Riverside Elementary took 12 minutes in morning traffic. Emma chattered about her upcoming field trip to the Science Museum, about how Marcus had brought a lizard to show and tell, and it escaped, and Miss Rodriguez had stood on a chair and screamed even though she was a grown-up, about the intricate social politics of first grade that Nathan tried to follow but often lost the thread of. And then Sophia said, I could be the princess, but only if I let her be the queen. And I said, there's no queen in Frozen, just Elsa. And she's a queen and a princess. So really we could both be queens. But then Marcus said boys can't be in the game. And I said, that's not fair because Kristoff is in the movie. Bug, Nathan interrupted gently, pulling into the drop-off lane. Breathe. Emma sucked in an exaggerated breath, her cheeks puffing out. Good. Now go learn stuff and be nice to Marcus. Even though he says boys can't be queens? Especially because he says that. Nathan leaned over to kiss the top of her head, breathing in the berry scent of her shampoo. Love you, Bug. Love you more. Emma unbuckled herself with the efficiency of someone who'd done this 1,000 times, grabbed her backpack, and scrambled out of the car. She turned back at the last second, grinning. Infinity more. Infinity +1, Nathan called after her, but she was already running toward the entrance where Miss Rodriguez stood with her clipboard, greeting students with high fives and fist bumps. Nathan watched until Emma disappeared through the doors, then merged back into traffic. Brightside Corporate Center rose 12 stories into the Denver skyline, all glass and steel and the kind of aggressive modernity that tried to convince you the future was already here. Nathan parked in the underground garage, level B3, in the spot marked Maintenance, and took the service elevator to the 4th floor. The custodial closet was his home base, a windowless 8x10 space that smelled like industrial cleaner, and the microwave popcorn someone had burned in the break room last Tuesday. Nathan changed into his work uniform, navy blue coveralls with coal embroidered over the pocket, and checked his assignment sheet. Floors 4 through 7. Conference rooms, executive offices, the break rooms on 5 and 6. He'd been working at Brightside for 4 years, long enough that the building's geography had become second nature, long enough that most people looked through him rather than at him. It was fine. Invisible meant undisturbed. It meant he could listen to podcasts while he worked, lose himself in true crime stories or history lessons while he emptied trash cans and wiped down desks. It meant he didn't have to perform, didn't have to be anything other than thorough and reliable. Nathan started on his 4th floor, working his way through the maze of cubicles. The early morning crew was already settled in, the soft clack of keyboards and murmur of phone calls creating the corporate soundtrack he'd grown accustomed to. He moved efficiently. Trash, recycling, quick wipe of surfaces, check the supply closets, refill paper towels and toilet paper in the bathrooms. Morning, Nathan. He turned to find Margaret Chen from accounting, coffee mug in hand, smiling at him over the top of her cubicle wall. Morning, Mrs. Chen. How's your son doing? Stanford, right? Margaret's face lit up the way it always did when someone asked about Andrew. Dean's List again. I keep telling him he works too hard, but he says he learned it from watching his mother. She laughed, the sound warm. How's your little girl? Emma's good, 6 going on 16. They grow up so fast. Margaret's expression turned knowing, a little wistful. You're doing a wonderful job with her, Nathan. I hope you know that. Trying to, Nathan said, feeling that familiar catch in his throat that came whenever someone acknowledged the weight of single parenthood. You have a good day, Mrs. Chen. You too, dear. Nathan continued his rounds, the conversation settling into the mental file where he kept these small kindnesses. People like Margaret made the job bearable, made him feel less like part of the furniture. He was refilling the paper towel dispenser in the men's room on 5 when he heard raised voices from the hallway. I don't care what Marcus said. I need those reports by noon. A woman's voice, sharp with stress. If he thinks I'm going to walk into that meeting unprepared because he couldn't bother to... No, you know what? Don't tell me what Marcus thinks. Tell Marcus I need the Q3 analysis, the comparative data from last year, and the projection models, or I'm CCing his boss on every email until he delivers. Silence. Probably listening to whoever was on the other end of the phone. Great. Fantastic. Love working with professionals. The voice dripped sarcasm. See you at 11:30. Nathan finished with the paper towels and emerged from the bathroom to find Sophia Reyes leaning against the wall, phone pressed to her forehead, eyes closed. She was younger than him, late 20s maybe, with dark hair pulled into a sleek ponytail and the kind of precise posture that suggested either dance training or military background. He'd seen her around for the past year, always moving with purpose, always carrying folders or coffee, or both. Long morning? Nathan asked before he could stop himself. Sophia's eyes snapped open. For a second, she looked startled, like she'd forgotten other people existed in the building. Then recognition flickered across her face. Nathan, right? Maintenance? Custodial, but yeah. He gestured to his cart. You okay? Define okay. Sophia pushed off the wall, attempting a smile that didn't quite land. I'm about to walk into a meeting that determines whether my department gets funding for next quarter, and I'm missing half the data I need because my colleague thinks deadlines are suggestions. Sounds fun. It's a dream. She rubbed her temples. Sorry, you probably don't need to hear me complain. Everyone needs to complain sometimes, Nathan said. For what it's worth, I've seen you around. You're always the first one here, last one to leave. If they can't see you're working hard, that's on them. Sophia studied him for a moment, something shifting in her expression. That's actually really nice of you to say. Just calling it like I see it. Nathan reached for his cart handle. Good luck in your meeting. Thanks. Sophia hesitated, then added, Hey Nathan, I've been meaning to say your daughter's drawings are really good. You put them up in your supply closet, right? I saw them when I was looking for extra toner last month. Nathan felt warmth spread through his chest. Emma's artwork covered every available surface in their apartment and, yes, his work closet. Stick figures and rainbow houses and attempts at spelling that were close but not quite right. She's my bug. Keeps me covered in masterpieces. That's sweet. Sophia's phone buzzed, and she glanced at the screen with a grimace. Okay, back to the chaos. Thanks for the pep talk. Anytime. Nathan watched her disappear down the hallway, heels clicking against tile, shoulders squared like someone preparing for battle. Something about the interaction stuck with him as he finished his morning rounds. The way she'd looked genuinely surprised that he'd noticed her work ethic, like kindness was unexpected. He understood that feeling better than he wanted to. The afternoon stretched long and repetitive. Nathan cleaned the sixth-floor break room, scrubbing coffee rings from the countertop while two women from HR debated the merits of the new benefits package. He vacuumed the conference rooms, finding the usual detritus of corporate life, forgotten pens, crumpled sticky notes, half-eaten granola bars. He restocked supplies, filed maintenance requests, and tried not to think about last night's date. Tried and failed. Vanessa had been nice enough, pretty, successful, a dental hygienist with her own apartment, and a reasonable opinion about pineapple on pizza. They'd met through a dating app, chatted for 2 weeks before meeting for dinner at an Italian place downtown. The conversation had flowed easily until Nathan mentioned Emma. Oh, Vanessa had said, her smile freezing in place. You have a daughter. Yeah, she's 6. Amazing kid. Nathan had pulled out his phone, ready to show pictures, but something in Vanessa's expression stopped him. That's great. Really great. She'd taken a long sip of wine. You know, I should probably mention I'm not really looking for anything serious right now, kind of focusing on my career, which was code. Nathan had learned to read the code. 6-year-old daughter meant complicated. It meant Emma would always come first, meant plans that revolved around school schedules and bedtimes, meant Nathan's attention would be divided. It meant he wasn't just Nathan, he was Nathan and Emma, a package deal that required someone willing to sign up for instant family. Most people weren't willing. You okay, man? Nathan looked up from the vacuum to find Deshaun Williams, one of the building's security guards, leaning in the conference room doorway. Yeah, just spacing out. Looked like you were trying to vacuum a hole through the carpet. Deshaun grinned. Rough day? Rough week, Nathan admitted, unplugging the vacuum. You? Can't complain. Wife's got me on some new diet, so I'm hungry all the time, but other than that, Deshaun shrugged. You coming to the poker game Friday? Can't. Emma's got a play date, and I'm on pickup duty. Bring her. Janelle won't mind. Kids can watch movies in the other room. Nathan considered it. Deshaun and his wife had been inviting him to things for years. Barbecues, game nights, their kids' birthday parties. He always meant to go more often, but time had a way of slipping through his fingers when he wasn't looking. Maybe, Nathan said. I'll check with Emma's friend's mom. You do that. We miss your face. Deshaun clapped him on the shoulder. And Nathan, whatever's got you looking like someone kicked your dog, It'll work out. Always does. Appreciate it. Deshawn left, and Nathan finished the conference room, then moved to the executive offices on 7. This floor was quieter, plush carpet and mahogany furniture, and the kind of expensive art that Nathan was terrified he'd break every time he dusted near it. He was wiping down the glass conference table in the corner office when his phone buzzed. Emma's school. His heart jumped into his throat. Hello? Mr. Cole, this is Denise from the front office at Riverside Elementary. Emma's fine, she said quickly, knowing the panic that came with midday school calls. But she's running a low-grade fever and says her stomach hurts. We need you to come pick her up. Nathan checked his watch. 2:15. His shift didn't end until 5, but that didn't matter. I'll be there in 20 minutes. No rush. She's resting in the nurse's office. Nathan found his supervisor, explained the situation, and was out the door in 5 minutes. The drive to Emma's school felt longer than usual, traffic conspiring against him at every light. He parked in the visitor lot and jogged to the main entrance, where Denise buzzed him in with a sympathetic smile. Emma sat in the nurse's office, small and pale, clutching her backpack like a lifeline. When she saw Nathan, her face crumpled. Hey, Bug. Nathan crouched in front of her, pressing the back of his hand to her forehead. Warm, but not alarming. Stomach hurt? Emma nodded, tears spilling over. And my head, and I threw up in the bathroom. Threw up? Nathan corrected gently. Okay, let's get you home. The nurse provided instructions, fluids, rest, call if the fever spiked. Nathan signed Emma out and carried her to the car, her head heavy against his shoulder. Am I in trouble? Emma asked as he buckled her into the booster seat. What? No, Bug, you're sick. That's not trouble. But you had to leave work. Nathan's chest tightened. Emma, you're more important than work. Always. Understand? She nodded, sniffling, and Nathan kissed her forehead before closing the door. The rest of the afternoon dissolved into the familiar rhythm of sick day care. Nathan set Emma up on the couch with her favorite blanket, the soft purple one with stars. He brought her water, then ginger ale when she asked, then water again when the ginger ale didn't settle well. He put on her favorite movie, Moana, for the 100th time, and sat beside her, Emma's small body curled against his side. Dad? Yeah, Bug? Will you stay home tomorrow too? Depends on how you're feeling. We'll see in the morning. I want you to stay, Emma said quietly. I miss you when you're gone. Nathan felt the words land like stones in his chest. I miss you too. Every second. They sat in silence, Moana singing about how far she'd go, and Nathan wondered, not for the first time, if he was doing enough. If working nights and weekends to give Emma everything she needed meant he was missing the things she needed most. His phone buzzed. A text from his sister Jenna. Heard Emma's sick. Need anything? Nathan typed back one-handed. We're good. Just a bug. Thanks for checking. You're a good dad, Nate. Don't forget that. He stared at the message until the screen went dark. Brapet. Friday morning arrived with Emma fever-free and demanding waffles. Nathan made them from scratch, the kitchen filling with the smell of vanilla and butter while Emma sat at the counter in her pajamas, narrating her plans for the weekend. Can we go to the park and get ice cream and maybe watch 2 movies tonight instead of 1? We'll see, Nathan said, flipping a waffle onto her plate. Park, yes. Ice cream, maybe. 2 movies is pushing it. What if I'm extra good? You're always extra good. Emma beamed, drowning her waffle in syrup. Nathan's phone rang. Work. He answered while sliding his own waffle onto a plate. Nathan, it's Marcus. Listen, we've got a situation. The compactor on 3 is jammed again, and there's some kind of leak in the women's bathroom on 6. Can you come in early? I know it's your day off, but I'll be there in an hour, Nathan said, already running through logistics. Jenna could take Emma for a few hours. His sister worked from home Fridays, had already offered to help whenever Nathan needed it. You're a lifesaver, man. I owe you. Nathan hung up and looked at Emma. Change of plans, Bug. You're going to Aunt Jenna's for a bit. Emma's face fell. But the park? We'll go to the park this afternoon, promise. I just need to fix something at work first. You always have to fix something, Emma said, not quite whining, but close. I know. Nathan sat beside her, stealing a piece of her waffle. But that's what I do. I fix things so other people don't have to worry about them. And then I come home and we go to the park and get ice cream, and I read you 3 stories instead of 2 at bedtime. 4 stories, Emma negotiated. 3.5. Deal. Usat. The bathroom leak on 6 turned out to be a cracked seal on one of the toilets. An easy fix, but time-consuming. Nathan worked methodically, wrench in hand, while the building hummed with Friday afternoon energy around him. People passed in the hallway, voices bright with weekend plans. He was finishing up, testing the seal one last time, when the bathroom door opened and Sofia Reyes walked in. "Oh, sorry." She stopped short, clutching a folder to her chest. "I didn't realize someone was—" "Nathan?" "Just finishing." Nathan stood, wiping his hands on his coveralls. "All yours." Sofia hesitated, worrying her bottom lip between her teeth. She looked different today. Less polished, more frayed. Her ponytail sat crooked, and there were shadows under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. "Actually," she said, "can I talk to you for a second? I know this is weird, but you seem like someone I can trust." Nathan's surprise must have shown on his face, because Sofia laughed, shaky and self-conscious. "I know, random. But I'm kind of desperate, and you were nice to me the other day, and—" She took a breath. "Do you have 5 minutes?" "Yeah," Nathan said slowly. "Yeah, sure." They moved into the hallway, Sofia leading him to an empty conference room. She closed the door and paced to the window, arms crossed, staring out at the Denver skyline. "My parents are coming to visit tomorrow," she said finally. "They live in Santa Fe. They're driving up for the weekend, and they want to meet my boyfriend." "Okay," Nathan said, not following. "I don't have a boyfriend." Sofia turned to face him. "I told them I did because they won't stop asking when I'm going to settle down and give them grandchildren, and every phone call turns into an interrogation about my personal life. So I lied. I said I was seeing someone stable and kind, and—" She pressed her hands to her face. "This is insane. I'm sorry. Forget I said anything." "Wait," Nathan said as she moved toward the door. "You need someone to pretend to be your boyfriend." Sofia froze. "I wasn't going to ask you. That's crazy. I was just venting. Like you said, everyone needs to complain sometimes. But you were considering it. For like 30 seconds. Sofia laughed again, more genuine this time. "I'm not that desperate. Or that brave." Nathan thought about Emma's fever, about leaving work to pick her up without question. He thought about Vanessa's polite rejection, about feeling invisible, about Margaret Chen calling him wonderful, and Sofia noticing Emma's drawings. He thought about how sometimes being kind was the bravest thing you could do. "I'll do it," he heard himself say. Sofia's eyes went wide. "What?" "I'll pretend to be your boyfriend. Meet your parents. One dinner, right?" "Nathan, you don't have to—" "I know," Nathan shrugged. "But you need help, and I can help, so why not?" Sofia stared at him like he'd grown a second head. "Why not? Because it's insane. Because you barely know me. Because—" She stopped, something shifting in her expression. "Why would you do this?" Nathan considered the question. The real answer was complicated, tied up in loneliness and the desire to be useful. To be seen as more than just the guy who fixed toilets and emptied trash cans. But that felt like too much to say out loud. "Because you noticed my daughter's drawings," he said instead. "Because you said thank you when I told you you work hard. Because sometimes people need help and it costs me nothing to give it." The silence stretched between them, heavy with something Nathan couldn't name. "One dinner," Sofia said finally. "Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. And Nathan, I owe you, big time." "You don't owe me anything." Nathan smiled. "But maybe you could tell me about yourself. So I don't completely blow it when your parents ask how we met?" Sofia laughed, surprised and relieved. Yeah, okay. Are you free tonight? We could grab coffee, get our stories straight." Nathan thought about Emma, about his promise of the park and ice cream. "I've got my daughter until bedtime. How about tomorrow afternoon, before dinner?" "Perfect." Sofia pulled out her phone. "Give me your number. I'll text you the details." They exchanged information, the transaction feeling surreal. Nathan left the conference room in a daze, Sofia's thank you echoing in his ears. What had he just agreed to? His phone buzzed, a text from Sofia. "Thank you. Seriously, you have no idea what this means. Another message followed immediately. Also, I promise I'm not a serial killer. Just a woman with overbearing parents and poor decision-making skills. Nathan smiled despite himself and texted back, same, except for the serial killer part. Pretty sure I'm not one of those. Good to know, Sophia replied. See you tomorrow. Nathan pocketed his phone and headed back to finish his shift, trying to ignore the nervous flutter in his stomach that felt suspiciously like anticipation. That evening, Nathan kept his promise. He took Emma to the park, pushed her on the swings until his arms ached, caught her at the bottom of the slide 17 times. They got ice cream, mint chip for Emma, rocky road for him, and walked home as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Dad? Emma said as Nathan ran her bath. Yeah, bug. Are you happy? The question caught him off guard. Nathan paused, testing the water temperature. What makes you ask that? You look different today, like when I draw you a picture and you put it on the fridge. Emma tilted her head, studying him with 6-year-old wisdom that was sometimes too perceptive. Happy different. Nathan pulled her into a hug, breathing in the scent of sunshine and grass and ice cream that clung to her hair. Yeah, bug, I'm happy. And as he said it, he realized it was true. Later that night, after Emma was asleep and the apartment was quiet, Nathan sat on the couch with his phone, staring at Sophia's contact information. He still wasn't sure what had possessed him to agree to this. Fake boyfriend to someone he barely knew, meeting parents who expected someone their daughter had built a relationship with, not a janitor who cleaned toilets and felt invisible most days. But Sophia had looked desperate, and Nathan knew what it felt like to need help and not know where to find it. His phone buzzed with another text from Sophia. Quick question, do you have any hobbies? My dad will definitely ask. Nathan thought about his life. Work, Emma, sleep, repeat. Not exactly fascinating. I read a lot, he typed. History, mostly. True crime podcasts, and I'm teaching myself guitar, but I'm pretty terrible at it. That's perfect, Sophia replied. My dad plays guitar. He'll love that. What about you? What should I know? The reply took longer this time. When it came, Nathan read it twice. I work too much. I care too much about what people think. I haven't had a real relationship in 3 years because I'm scared of letting anyone close enough to see how much I'm struggling to keep it all together. And my parents still see me as their little girl who needs protection, even though I'm 28 and have a master's degree and manage a team of 12 people. Nathan's thumbs hovered over the keyboard. He wanted to say something meaningful, something that acknowledged the vulnerability she'd just shown him. Instead, he wrote, So we're both pretending to have our lives together better than we actually do? Sophia's response was immediate. Pretty much. Then this should be easy, Nathan sent back, or a complete disaster. Glass half full, Sophia. I like you, Nathan Cole. I think we might actually pull this off. Nathan smiled at his phone, feeling something unfamiliar stir in his chest. Hope, maybe, or possibility. Tomorrow he would meet Sophia's parents and pretend to be someone worth introducing to family. Tomorrow he would step outside his comfortable routine and into something uncertain. But tonight he was just Nathan, single father, custodian, invisible to most of the world, who'd said yes to helping someone who needed it. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of crystalline clarity that made Denver look like a postcard. Nathan woke to Emma singing in her bedroom, something about letting it go that she'd learned from the movie. And for a moment he let himself exist in the simplicity of that sound before reality crashed back in. Today he was meeting Sophia's parents. Today he was pretending to be someone's boyfriend. Dad! Emma appeared in his doorway, already dressed in mismatched clothes, purple leggings, and a striped shirt that clashed spectacularly. Aunt Jenna's coming at 10, right? Right. Nathan swung his legs out of bed, running a hand through his hair. What do you want for breakfast? Pancakes with chocolate chips and whipped cream and sprinkles, and how about regular pancakes and you can have 1 chocolate chip? Emma considered this negotiation. 3 chocolate chips. 2. Deal. They moved through the morning routine with practiced efficiency. Nathan made pancakes while Emma set the table, placing napkins and forks with the careful precision of someone who took the job seriously. They ate together, Emma chattering about her plans with Aunt Jenna, something involving a craft project and possibly glitter, which Nathan mentally added to the list of things to apologize for later. His phone buzzed. Sophia, picking you up at 3. Thought we could drive together, finalize our story before we get there. That okay? Nathan typed back. Works for me. Where should I meet you? I'll come to you. Send me your address? Nathan hesitated. His apartment was small, worn around the edges, the kind of place that screamed struggling single father rather than potential boyfriend material. But pretending started with honesty about who he actually was, didn't it? He sent the address. See you at 3. And Nathan, thank you again. I know this is weird. Weird's okay, he replied. Weird keeps life interesting. Jenna arrived at 10:15, breezing through the door with her usual chaos of energy and shopping bags. She was 3 years younger than Nathan, worked in marketing, and had opinions about everything delivered with the confidence of someone who'd never doubted herself a day in her life. Uncle Duty's await, she announced, swooping Emma into a hug. We're making friendship bracelets, and I brought 17 different colors of embroidery floss because I don't believe in limitations. 17 seems excessive, Nathan said. You seem stressed. Jenna studied him over Emma's head. What's going on? Nothing. Long week. Liar. She set Emma down and pointed toward the living room. Bug, go pick out which colors you want. I need to interrogate your father. Emma skipped away, and Jenna turned her full attention on Nathan. Spill. There's nothing to spill. You're wearing the blue shirt, the one you save for job interviews and parent-teacher conferences. Jenna crossed her arms. And you've checked your phone 4 times since I got here. So either you're suddenly popular or something's happening. Nathan sighed. His sister had always been able to read him like large print. I'm helping someone out, just dinner with her parents. Jenna's eyebrows shot up. Her? As in a woman? As in a date? Not a date, just helping out. Nathan Cole, are you telling me you have plans with a woman that don't involve Emma's school or your job? It's not like that. It's exactly like that, and I'm thrilled. Jenna grabbed his shoulders. What's her name? How'd you meet? What does she do? Sophia. She works at my building, and it's complicated. Complicated how? Nathan glanced toward the living room where Emma was sorting through embroidery floss with intense concentration. He lowered his voice. She told her parents she has a boyfriend. She doesn't. She asked me to pretend for one dinner. Jenna's expression cycled through surprise, confusion, and something that looked suspiciously like approval. So, you're fake dating? For like 4 hours. That's how it always starts. Jenna grinned. Every romantic comedy ever made begins with a fake relationship that becomes real. This isn't a movie, Jen. Everything's a movie if you have the right soundtrack. Well, she squeezed his shoulders. I think it's great. You're putting yourself out there even if it's pretend. That's progress. It's one dinner. That's what they all say. Jenna released him and called toward the living room. Emma Bug, say goodbye to your dad. He's got important fake dating to prepare for. Jenna, go shower, shave, wear the blue shirt, and Nathan? She softened, her voice losing its teasing edge. Let yourself have something nice, even if it's just pretend. You deserve it. Emma appeared with an armful of embroidery floss, and Nathan crouched down to her level. Be good for Aunt Jenna. I'm always good. Be extra good. Okay. Emma threw her arms around his neck. Love you, Dad. Love you more, Bug. He kissed the top of her head, breathing in the berry scent of her shampoo. Infinity. Infinity plus infinity, Emma whispered back. Nathan watched them leave, Jenna's voice already launching into plans for the afternoon, and then the apartment fell quiet around him. He looked at his phone. 2 hours until Sophia arrived. 2 hours to become someone worth meeting. He showered, shaved carefully around the scar on his jaw. Souvenir from a car accident years ago that had required 12 stitches. He put on the blue shirt Jenna had mentioned, dark jeans that were relatively new, the leather jacket he'd bought on sale 3 Christmases ago and never wore because there was nowhere to wear it. When he looked in the mirror, he barely recognized himself. Not Nathan the custodian, not Nathan the single father, just Nathan, 32, presentable enough to pass for someone's boyfriend. The knock came at exactly 3 o'clock. Nathan grabbed his keys and opened the door to find Sophia standing in the hallway, and for a second he forgot how to speak. She looked different outside of work, softer somehow, in dark jeans and a burgundy sweater that brought out the warmth in her skin tone. Her hair fell loose around her shoulders instead of pulled back, and she wore minimal makeup, just enough to highlight features Nathan hadn't paid attention to before. Dark eyes that seemed to hold entire conversations, a slight asymmetry to her smile that made it more interesting. "Hi," Sophia said, and there was nervousness in her voice that matched what Nathan felt. "You look nice." "So do you." Nathan stepped into the hallway, locking the door behind him. "Ready for this?" "Absolutely not." Sophia laughed, shaky, "but let's do it anyway." They walked to her car, a silver Subaru that smelled like coffee and vanilla, and Sophia pulled into traffic with the confidence of someone who'd learned to drive in a bigger city. Nathan watched Denver slide past the windows, the familiar landscape suddenly feeling foreign through the lens of what they were about to do. "Okay," Sophia said after several minutes of silence. "We should probably get our story straight. How did we meet?" Nathan thought about the truth, her stressed in a hallway, him cleaning a bathroom. "We met at work?" "Too boring. My parents will fall asleep." Sophia drummed her fingers on the steering wheel. What if you were fixing something in my office? The coffee maker broke and you came to repair it and we started talking." "I don't repair coffee makers. Different department." "They don't know that." Sophia glanced at him. "You fixed it, we started chatting, you made me laugh. I asked if you wanted to grab coffee sometime and you said yes." "You asked me out? Why not? It's 2025. Women can make the first move." Sophia's expression turned teasing. "Is that a problem for your fragile male ego?" "My ego's fine." Nathan smiled despite his nerves. "Okay, you asked me out. We got coffee. Then what?" "Then we kept getting coffee. Started having lunch together. Realized we had a lot in common." "Like what?" Sophia paused at a red light, considering. "We both work too hard. We're both trying to prove something to people who might never see us the way we want to be seen. We both—" She trailed off, something vulnerable crossing her face. "We both know what it's like to feel invisible." The light changed and she accelerated, but Nathan couldn't stop looking at her. The words had landed too close to home, stripped away the pretense of their arrangement to reveal something uncomfortably honest underneath. "How long have we been together?" he asked quietly. 4 months. Long enough that meeting my parents makes sense, but not so long that they'll ask why they're just now hearing about you." "And they don't know about Emma?" Sophia's hands tightened on the wheel. "I mentioned you have a daughter. My mom was thrilled. She loves kids. But we should probably keep the details light. I don't want them grilling you about custody or Emma's mother or—" "It's fine," Nathan interrupted. "I'll follow your lead." They drove in silence for a while, leaving the city behind for the suburbs that sprawled south toward Colorado Springs. The houses grew larger, the lawns more manicured, the kind of neighborhood where people had money enough to pretend problems didn't exist. "My parents are good people," Sophia said eventually. They worry. My dad especially. He sees me working all the time, never bringing anyone home, and he thinks I'm going to end up alone and miserable." She laughed without humor. "He's not entirely wrong. You're not miserable." "How would you know?" "Because miserable people don't notice when custodians are having bad days. They don't say thank you. They don't care about other people's kids' drawings." Nathan shifted to face her. "You're stressed, yeah. Maybe lonely, but not miserable." Sophia was quiet for so long Nathan thought he'd overstepped. Then she said, voice soft, "My ex used to say I worked too much, that I cared more about my job than our relationship. And maybe he was right, but it was also easier to focus on work than deal with the fact that he wanted someone who'd be satisfied staying home and playing housewife while he built his career. Sounds like an ass." "He was." Sophia's smile was bitter. 3 years together, and he proposed to his new girlfriend 6 months after we broke up. They're married now. Have a baby. The whole suburban dream. You dodged a bullet. I know. Doesn't make it hurt less." She turned onto a tree-lined street where houses sat back from the road behind perfect lawns. "That's why this dinner matters. I need my parents to stop looking at me like I'm broken, like something went wrong with me when Marcus moved on so fast." "Marcus is the ex?" "Yeah, and also my colleague who won't send me the reports I need." Sophia pulled into a driveway in front of a two-story colonial that screamed upper-middle-class comfort. Different Marcus, common name. My life is a nightmare. Nathan stared at the house. The pristine lawn, the flowers in neat beds, the front door with its autumn wreath. This was where Sophia had grown up, in this kind of stability and structure. No wonder she worked so hard to prove herself. Hey, Sophia reached over and squeezed his hand, the touch brief but grounding. We can do this. Just follow my lead. Laugh at my dad's jokes, even if they're terrible, and compliment my mom's cooking. In and out in 3 hours. 3 hours? Dinner's a production in my family. She released his hand and turned off the engine. Ready? Nathan wasn't, but he opened the car door anyway, stepping out into the cool autumn air that smelled like wood smoke and cut grass. Sophia came around the car and hesitated, then slipped her hand into his. Her palm was warm, fingers slim and strong. Nathan's heart kicked hard against his ribs. Couples hold hands, Sophia whispered. We should probably get used to it. They walked up the driveway together, hands linked, and Nathan tried to remember the last time he'd held someone's hand like this. Years ago. Different life. The weight of it felt foreign and familiar all at once. Sophia rang the doorbell and the door flew open before the chime finished echoing. Mija! The woman who appeared was small and elegant, dark hair threaded with silver, wearing an apron that said, Kiss the Cook, in Spanish. She pulled Sophia into a fierce hug before turning assessing eyes on Nathan. And you must be Nathan. Yes, ma'am. It's nice to meet you, Mrs. Reyes. Please, call me Carmen. She grabbed Nathan's free hand with both of hers, her smile warm and genuine. Come in, come in. Dinner's almost ready and Roberto's been pacing like a caged animal waiting to meet you. They stepped inside and Nathan took in the details. Family photos covering the walls, comfortable furniture that looked lived in rather than staged, the smell of something delicious wafting from the kitchen. A home where people actually lived, not just existed. Roberto, Carmen called toward the back of the house. They're here! Heavy footsteps, and then Sophia's father appeared. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with silver hair and the kind of handshake that tested whether you were worth his daughter's time. Nathan met the grip firmly, holding eye contact. Nathan Cole, Roberto said, not quite a question. You're the one who's been making my daughter smile. I try, sir. He does more than try, Dad. Sophia squeezed Nathan's hand, a warning and encouragement all at once. He makes me laugh every day. Good. Roberto's expression softened fractionally. A man who can make a woman laugh is worth his weight. Come, sit. Tell me about yourself. They moved into the living room and Nathan found himself on a couch beside Sophia, her parents in chairs across from them. Carmen had produced drinks, iced tea for Sophia, beer for the men, and was watching Nathan with the kind of maternal assessment that made him feel transparent. So Nathan, Roberto said, settling back in his chair. Sophia tells me you work at her building? Yes, sir. I'm in facilities maintenance. Facilities maintenance. Roberto nodded slowly. That's good. Honest work. My father was a plumber, taught me that a man who knows how to fix things is never without value. It's satisfying, Nathan said carefully. Solving problems, making things work the way they're supposed to. And you have a daughter? Here it was. Nathan felt Sophia tense beside him. Emma, she's 6. Carmen leaned forward, eyes bright. 6? What a wonderful age. Is she in school? First grade. She's everything. Nathan pulled out his phone without thinking, showing them his lock screen, Emma grinning at the camera, chocolate ice cream smeared across her face. That's her. Beautiful, Carmen said softly. She has your eyes. She has her mother's stubbornness. The words came out before Nathan could stop them, old habit of deflecting when Emma's mother came up. But Sophia's hand tightened on his and he course-corrected. But yeah, the eyes are mine, and the terrible singing voice. You sing to her? Carmen's expression melted into pure approval. Badly. Emma says I sound like a frog with a cold. Nathan smiled at the memory. But she still requests it every night at bedtime. Roberto was watching him with less suspicion now, something shifting in his posture. Single father is hard work. Respect to you for stepping up. It's not stepping up when she's your kid, Nathan said quietly. It's just being a dad." The words hung in the air for a moment, and Nathan felt the weight of their scrutiny ease slightly. He'd passed some invisible test. "Well," Carmen said, standing, "let me check on dinner. Sophia, come help me." Sophia stood, shooting Nathan an apologetic look before following her mother to the kitchen, which left Nathan alone with Roberto, who was studying him with the intensity of someone who'd spent a lifetime reading people. "My daughter is strong," Roberto said after a moment. "Too strong sometimes. She doesn't ask for help even when she needs it." "I've noticed that." Her ex-boyfriend, Marcus, he didn't understand that strength isn't the same as not needing anyone. Roberto took a long drink of his beer. He wanted her to be smaller, easier. Sophia is not a small or easy woman. "I wouldn't want her to be," Nathan said honestly. "The strength is part of what makes her remarkable." Roberto's eyebrows rose. "Remarkable?" "She works harder than anyone I've ever met. She's kind even when she's stressed. She notices people." Nathan met Roberto's eyes. "She noticed me when most people look right through me. That's remarkable." Something in Roberto's expression cracked open, revealing approval underneath the protective father routine. "You really care about her?" It wasn't a question, but Nathan answered anyway. "Yes, sir. I do." The truth of it surprised him even as he said it. This was supposed to be pretend, a favor for someone who needed help. But sitting in this living room talking about Sophia like she was someone precious, Nathan realized the lines had already started to blur. Roberto nodded slowly, then raised his beer. "To my daughter, finding someone who sees her." Nathan clinked his bottle against Roberto's, feeling the weight of the moment settle around them. In the kitchen, he could hear Sophia and Carmen talking in rapid Spanish, their voices rising and falling in a rhythm that spoke of years of this exact conversation. "She's happy with you," Roberto said. "I haven't seen her this relaxed in years. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." The guilt hit Nathan like a physical blow. This man thought his daughter had found something real, was relieved that Sophia wasn't alone anymore. And Nathan was lying to him, performing a relationship that would disappear the moment dinner ended. "Mr. Reyes," "Roberto, please." "Roberto." Nathan set down his beer, searching for words that wouldn't betray Sophia, but wouldn't deepen the deception either. "I care about Sophia a lot, but we're still figuring things out. It's new and complicated, and all relationships are complicated." Roberto waved a hand dismissively. "What matters is whether you show up, whether you choose her every day even when it's hard. Can you do that?" Nathan thought about Emma, about showing up for her every single day, regardless of how tired he was or what he'd rather be doing. "Yes," he said. "I can do that." Roberto smiled, satisfied. "Then we'll get along just fine." Carmen appeared in the doorway. "Dinner's ready. Come eat before it gets cold." They moved to the dining room where the table was set with care. Good china, cloth napkins, candles that cast everything in warm light. The food was spectacular. Traditional dishes, Carmen explained as she served them, her pride evident in every description. "This is incredible," Nathan said after the first bite of enchiladas. "Mrs. Reyes, Carmen, you're an amazing cook." "He's right, Mama." Sophia reached under the table and squeezed Nathan's knee, a silent thank you for saying the right thing. "I've been trying to get this recipe for years, and you keep telling me it's family secret." "Because you'll make it better than me, and then what will I have?" Carmen winked. "Besides, now you have Nathan. Let him cook for you sometimes." "I'm not much of a cook," Nathan admitted. "Emma and I survive on a rotation of about 5 meals that I can't mess up too badly." "What's her favorite?" Carmen asked. "Breakfast for dinner. Scrambled eggs, toast, bacon if we're feeling fancy. She says it tastes like Saturday even when it's Tuesday." Carmen laughed, delighted. "Smart girl. Breakfast is the best meal at any time." The conversation flowed easier after that. Roberto asked about Nathan's background, and Nathan found himself talking about growing up in a small town in Kansas, about leaving for Denver after high school, about the jobs he'd worked before landing at Brightside. He edited the harder parts. Emma's mother leaving when she was 6 months old, the years of barely scraping by, the loneliness that sometimes felt like drowning, but he kept enough truth that it felt honest. Sophia contributed stories about how they'd met, embellishing the coffee maker repair into something almost romantic. She talked about their lunches together, how Nathan made her laugh when work got overwhelming, how he understood that her career mattered without making her feel guilty about it. "That's important," Roberto said, pointing his fork at Nathan. "A real partnership is two people supporting each other's dreams, not one person sacrificing for the other." "Exactly what I always say," Carmen agreed. "Roberto supported me when I went back to school, took care of Sofia even though he was working 60 hours a week. And Carmen supported me when I wanted to start my own business," Roberto added. "We lift each other up. That's marriage." Nathan felt Sofia's hand find his under the table again, their fingers threading together in a way that felt practiced even though it wasn't. He glanced at her and found her looking back, something complicated in her expression that he couldn't quite read. "More wine?" Carmen asked, already refilling glasses. They ate and talked and laughed, and Nathan found himself relaxing into the evening in a way he hadn't expected. Roberto told stories about Sofia as a child, her stubborn insistence on doing everything herself, her determination to prove she was just as capable as any boy, and Carmen added details that made Sofia blush and protest. "Remember when she climbed onto the roof because she wanted to see the sunset from the highest point?" Carmen shook her head. "We found her sitting on the peak like it was nothing, completely calm, while we were having heart attacks below." "I was 7, Sofia said, "and the view was worth it." "You've always been fearless," Roberto said, his voice softening. "Sometimes too fearless for your own good." "I learned it from you," Sofia replied. The affection between them was palpable, and Nathan felt a pang of something he couldn't quite name. Emma would never have this with her mother, these easy conversations and shared history. She had Nathan, and that was enough, but he wondered sometimes if it was fair. "Nathan?" Carmen's voice pulled him back. "You went somewhere." "Sorry, just thinking." "About Emma?" Carmen's intuition was razor sharp. "Yeah, she'd love this, the family dinner, the stories. We don't do this much, just the two of us." "Then you'll have to bring her next time," Carmen said firmly. "I want to meet this little girl who has her father wrapped around her finger. Next time." As if this was real, as if there would be more dinners and more stories, and Sofia permanently woven into their lives. "I'd like that," Sofia said before Nathan could respond. "Emma sounds amazing. I'd love to meet her." Nathan looked at her, searching for the lie, but her expression was sincere. Maybe she'd forgotten this was pretend. Maybe the evening had fooled her too. After dinner, Roberto insisted on showing Nathan his guitar collection. They moved to a den lined with instruments, acoustics and electrics, vintage models, and modern builds, each one maintained with obvious care. "You play?" Roberto asked, lifting down a beautiful Martin acoustic. "I'm learning. Not very good yet." Nathan accepted the guitar, running his fingers over the strings. "Emma wants me to learn her favorite songs." "Play something." "I really shouldn't. Come on. I don't bite." Roberto settled into a chair, expectant. Nathan sighed and positioned his fingers for the one song he could almost play all the way through, a simple version of Blackbird by the Beatles. He stumbled through it, missing notes and losing the rhythm halfway through, but Roberto listened with the patience of someone who remembered being a beginner. "Not bad," Roberto said when Nathan finished. "You need to work on your chord transitions, but you've got the heart of it." "The heart doesn't sound very good." "The heart is what matters. The skill comes with practice." Roberto took the guitar and played the same song, his fingers moving with easy confidence, and the music filled the room with something beautiful and true. When he finished, Nathan said, "That's what I'm aiming for. Probably in about 20 years. Roberto laughed. 15 if you practice every day. Here, let me show you something." They spent the next 30 minutes on guitar technique, Roberto teaching and Nathan trying to absorb information faster than his fingers could execute it. It was the kind of male bonding Nathan rarely experienced, comfortable and focused on something concrete rather than emotions. When they returned to the living room, Sofia and Carmen were looking through photo albums, their heads bent together over images from Sofia's childhood. Sofia looked up as Nathan entered, and her smile was soft, genuine. "Did Dad bore you with guitar talk?" "Actually taught me some useful stuff." Nathan sat beside her, peering at the album. "Is that you?" The photo showed a gap-toothed girl in a soccer uniform covered in mud, holding a trophy triumphantly overhead. "State championship, under-12 division," Sofia said proudly. "We won in double overtime." "You played soccer?" For 10 years, quit when I went to college. Something wistful crossed her face. I miss it sometimes. The simplicity of it. Clear rules, clear goals, clear winners. Life should come with clearer rules, Nathan agreed. Speaking of which, Carmen said, closing the album, we should probably let you two get going. It's getting late and I'm sure you both have early mornings. They stood, and Carmen pulled Nathan into a hug that surprised him with its fierceness. You take care of my girl, she whispered. She won't tell you when she needs taking care of, but she does. We all do. Yes, ma'am. Roberto shook Nathan's hand again, his grip warm. Come back soon. Bring Emma. Carmen will spoil her rotten. I'd like that, Nathan said, and meant it. They made their way to the car through a chorus of goodbyes and promises to visit again soon. Sophia drove in silence for the first few minutes, her face unreadable in the glow of passing streetlights. You were perfect, she said finally. Seriously, I couldn't have asked for better. Your parents are good people. They are. Sophia's voice went quiet. I hated lying to them. Me too. They drove without speaking, the weight of what they'd done settling between them. Nathan stared out the window at the Denver skyline growing closer, thinking about Roberto's guitar lesson and Carmen's fierce hug and the photo album full of Sophia's life that he'd glimpsed for just a moment. Nathan? Sophia pulled up outside his apartment building, putting the car in park. Can I ask you something? Sure. When you talked about me tonight to my dad during dinner, was any of that real? She turned to face him, vulnerability written across her features. Or was it all just really good acting? Nathan's heart hammered against his ribs. The honest answer was complicated, tangled up in the unexpected feelings that had been building all evening. But Sophia was looking at him like his answer mattered, like maybe she needed it to be real as much as he suddenly wanted it to be. It was real, he said quietly. All of it. I do think you're remarkable. I do care about you. Maybe I shouldn't after one dinner, but... Sophia kissed him. It was brief, tentative, her lips soft against his for maybe 3 seconds before she pulled back with wide eyes. Sorry, she breathed. That wasn't... We didn't plan. I shouldn't have... Nathan kissed her back. This one lasted longer, his hand cupping her jaw while hers fisted in his jacket, and it felt like falling and flying all at once. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Nathan couldn't remember the last time something had felt this right. So, Sophia said shakily, that just happened. Yeah. And it was really good, Nathan finished. Sophia laughed, the sound bright with surprise and something that might have been relief. What do we do now? Nathan thought about Emma, about work tomorrow, about the careful routine of his life that had just been thoroughly disrupted. He thought about Sophia's hand in his, her parents' warm welcome, the way her kiss had made him feel seen in a way he'd forgotten was possible. Maybe we could get coffee, he suggested. For real this time. No pretending. Sophia's smile started slow and spread until it lit up her entire face. I'd like that. A lot. Tomorrow? After I pick up Emma from school? Bring her. I meant what I said. I want to meet her. Nathan's chest tightened with something terrifyingly close to hope. She'll have opinions. Lots of opinions. She's 6. I like opinions. Sophia reached over and laced her fingers through his. And I like you, Nathan Cole. Turns out pretending to date you made me realize I might want to actually date you. Same, Nathan said, feeling ridiculous and happy, and more alive than he'd felt in years. Same. They sat in the car for another 20 minutes, talking about everything and nothing, making plans for coffee and maybe dinner, and definitely more time together. When Nathan finally climbed out and headed toward his building, Sophia called after him. Hey, Nathan. He turned back. Thank you. For tonight, for being perfect with my parents, for... She paused, searching for words. For seeing me. Always, Nathan said, and meant it with every fiber of his being. He watched her drive away, then climbed the stairs to his apartment where Jenna was waiting with Emma asleep on the couch and a knowing smile on her face. So, Jenna whispered, how'd the fake date go? Nathan touched his lips, still feeling the ghost of Sophia's kiss. I think it might have stopped being fake. Jenna's grin was triumphant. Told you, it's always like the movies. And for once, Nathan didn't argue. Sunday morning found Nathan sitting at his kitchen table with cold coffee and a stomach full of butterflies that had no business existing in a 32-year-old man. Emma was still asleep, her bedroom door cracked open just enough that he could hear her soft breathing, and the apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the racing of his thoughts. He'd kissed Sophia. She'd kissed him back. They had plans for coffee this afternoon, real plans, not pretend ones. His phone buzzed, and he grabbed it too quickly, nearly knocking over his mug. Sophia's text glowed on the screen. Morning. Did last night actually happen, or did I dream the whole thing? Nathan smiled despite his nerves and typed back. Pretty sure it happened. I've got the guilt from lying to your parents to prove it. They loved you. My mom called at 7 a.m. to tell me you're a keeper. 7 a.m. on a Sunday? She was too excited to sleep. Also, she wants your enchilada opinion. Red or green chile? Both. Why choose? Correct answer. You just earned permanent approval. Nathan stared at the text, warmth spreading through his chest. He started typing several responses and deleted them all before settling on, still good for coffee today? Emma's excited to meet you. I'm excited to meet her. 3 o'clock at that place near the park? Perfect. He set the phone down and ran both hands through his hair. This was happening. He was introducing Sophia to Emma, crossing the line from his own life into the life that mattered most, and the weight of it pressed against his lungs until breathing felt like work. Dad? Emma appeared in the doorway, hair sticking up in 17 directions, still wearing her pajamas. You're awake early. Couldn't sleep. Because of the pretty lady? Emma climbed into the chair beside him with the directness only children possessed. Aunt Jenna said you had a date. Aunt Jenna talks too much. Is she your girlfriend now? Nathan met his daughter's curious gaze and realized he had no idea how to answer that question. What were he and Sophia? They'd kissed, yes, but one kiss didn't define a relationship, especially one built on a foundation of pretense. Except it hadn't felt like pretense last night. It had felt startlingly, terrifyingly real. We're friends, he said carefully. Good friends. And she wants to meet you. Emma's eyes went wide. Me? You. We're getting coffee this afternoon at the Blue Moose. The one with the cookies? That's the one. Emma considered this information with the seriousness of a judge reviewing evidence. Does she like kids? She likes you already, and she hasn't even met you yet. How does she know she likes me? Because I told her about you, and she said you sound amazing. Nathan reached over and smoothed down Emma's wild hair, knowing it would spring back up the moment he stopped. But you have to promise me something, Bug. What? Be yourself. Don't try to be extra good or extra quiet or extra anything. Just be Emma, okay? I'm always Emma. Exactly, and that's perfect. They spent the morning in their usual Sunday routine, cartoons and cereal, a trip to the laundromat because Nathan had put off washing clothes all week, lunch at the taco truck Emma loved where the owner knew their order by heart. Normal, comfortable. The kind of day that usually settled Nathan's nerves, but today only seemed to wind them tighter. By 2:30, they were back at the apartment, and Emma was trying on her fourth outfit, standing in front of Nathan's full-length mirror with her hands on her hips. The purple shirt or the rainbow one? Either one is great, Bug. But which one is better for meeting your friend? Nathan crouched down beside her, meeting her eyes in the mirror. Emma, she's going to like you no matter what you wear, I promise. But I want to look nice. Emma's voice went small, uncertain in a way that made Nathan's heart crack. What if she doesn't like me? Hey. Nathan turned her to face him. That's impossible. You know why? Why? Because you're kind and funny and smart, and you make the best drawings in the entire world. Anyone who doesn't like you is missing out on knowing someone pretty special. Emma threw her arms around his neck. You have to say that. You're my dad. I say it because it's true. Nathan hugged her tight, breathing in the berry scent of her shampoo. Rainbow shirt? Rainbow shirt, Emma agreed. They arrived at the Blue Moose Coffee House at 5 minutes to 3. The place was busy with the Sunday afternoon crowd, college students bent over laptops, families claiming tables, the espresso machine hissing and gurgling behind the counter. Nathan scanned the room and found Sophia already there, sitting at a corner table with 3 cups in front of her. And when she looked up and saw them, her smile was nervous and genuine all at once. "Hi," Sophia said as they approached, and Nathan heard the slight tremor in her voice that matched what he felt. "You must be Emma." Emma studied Sophia with the unfiltered assessment children specialized in. "You're really pretty." "Thank you." Sophia's smile softened. "So are you. I love your shirt. Rainbows are my favorite." "Really?" "Really. When I was your age, I had rainbow everything. Shoes, backpack, even my toothbrush." Emma giggled, and just like that, the ice broke. They settled at the table, and Sophia pushed one of the cups toward Emma. "I wasn't sure what you liked, so I got you hot chocolate with whipped cream. Is that okay?" "That's my favorite." Emma grabbed the cup with both hands, her face lighting up. "Dad only gets me hot chocolate on special days." "Well, meeting you feels pretty special to me," Sophia said, and Nathan watched his daughter bloom under the attention. They talked easily, Sophia asking Emma about school, and Emma launching into detailed descriptions of her teacher and her friends and the injustice of Marcus saying boys couldn't be queens. Sophia listened with genuine interest, asking follow-up questions and laughing in all the right places, and Nathan found himself relaxing into the conversation. "Your dad says you're a great artist," Sophia said after Emma had exhausted the topic of first-grade politics. "I draw a lot." Emma looked to Nathan for permission, and he nodded, so she dug in her backpack and produced a crumpled piece of paper. "I made this yesterday at Aunt Jenna's." The drawing showed 3 stick figures, one tall, one medium, one small, holding hands in front of a house. The tall one had messy hair like Nathan's. The small one had wild curls like Emma's. And the medium one had long dark hair and a rainbow shirt. Nathan's breath caught. "Is that us?" Sophia asked softly, taking the paper with careful hands. Uh-huh. Dad said you were nice, so I drew you with us." Emma took a sip of hot chocolate, oblivious to the weight of what she'd just handed over. "Do you like it?" "I love it." Sophia's voice was thick with emotion. "Can I keep it?" "Really?" "Really. I'm going to put it somewhere special where I can see it every day." Emma beamed, and Nathan felt something shift in his chest, a fundamental realignment of what he thought this afternoon would be. His daughter had drawn Sophia into their family without hesitation, had made space for her on paper before Nathan had even figured out if there was space for her in reality. "Emma," Nathan said quietly, "why don't you go pick out a cookie? My treat. Can I get 2? 1 cookie, Bug." Emma scrambled off her chair and headed to the counter, and Nathan turned to find Sophia staring at the drawing with something that looked suspiciously like tears in her eyes. "Sophia, she drew me," Sophia whispered, "in her family. I've known her for 15 minutes, and she looked up at Nathan. Does she do this? Draw people into her pictures?" "No." Nathan's throat felt tight. "She draws me and her, sometimes Aunt Jenna, but that's it. She doesn't—" He trailed off, watching Emma debate between chocolate chip and sugar cookies at the counter. "She's never drawn her mother. Not once." Sophia's hand found his across the table, her fingers threading through his with easy familiarity that shouldn't have existed yet, but somehow did. "I don't want to mess this up, Nathan. You're both—" "I know," Nathan said. "I'm terrified too. What are we doing here? Is this real, or are we still pretending?" Nathan looked at her, really looked, at the vulnerability in her expression, the way she held Emma's drawing like it was precious, the coffee she'd bought for his daughter because she wanted Emma to feel welcome. He thought about last night's kiss, about Roberto's guitar lesson, about Carmen saying everyone needed taking care of. "I want it to be real," he said. "If you do." "Niam." Sophia's smile started slow and spread until it transformed her entire face. "Yeah, I do." Emma returned with a chocolate chip cookie the size of her hand, and Nathan's heart had never felt fuller. They spent 2 hours at the coffee shop. Emma told stories and Sophia listened, asking questions that proved she was actually paying attention, not just humoring a 6-year-old. She told Emma about playing soccer, about climbing on her parents' roof to watch sunsets, about being stubborn and determined, and refusing to let anyone tell her she couldn't do something. Like when Marcus said you can't be a queen, Emma asked. Exactly like that. Anyone who says you can't do something just because you're a girl is wrong, okay? You can be anything you want. Even a dinosaur scientist? Especially a dinosaur scientist. We need more of those. Nathan watched them together and felt the last of his reservations crumble. Sophia wasn't trying to be Emma's mother or replace anyone. She was just being herself, kind and engaged and genuinely interested in this small person who meant everything to Nathan. When Emma excused herself to the bathroom, Sophia turned to Nathan with a serious expression. I need to tell you something, she said, before this goes any further. Nathan's stomach dropped. Okay. My job is intense. I work late a lot, take calls on weekends, sometimes travel for conferences. And I'm not… She paused, searching for words. I'm not good at the domestic stuff. I can't cook like my mom, I forget to water plants, my apartment is usually a mess. I'm not the kind of woman who has it all together. Sophia, let me finish. She took a breath. I'm also still figuring out how to be in a relationship without losing myself in it. My ex wanted me to be smaller, to need him, and I can't do that again. I won't. So if you're looking for someone who's going to quit their job and play housewife, I'm not, Nathan interrupted gently. I'm looking for someone who sees me, someone who makes me laugh, someone who buys hot chocolate for my daughter and asks about her day like it matters. Everything else? We'll figure it out. You say that now, I say it because I mean it. Nathan squeezed her hand. I'm a 32-year-old custodian with a 6-year-old and 0 free time. I live in a tiny apartment, drive a car that's held together with duct tape and hope, and the last time I went on a real vacation was never. I'm not exactly a prize. You're wrong, Sophia said fiercely. You're exactly a prize. You're kind and present, and you see people. You're an amazing father. Her voice broke slightly. You make me feel like I don't have to be perfect to be enough. Emma reappeared before Nathan could respond, sliding back into her chair and announcing that the bathroom had soap that smelled like vanilla, and wasn't that cool? They left the coffee shop as the sun started its descent toward the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Emma walked between them, holding both their hands, chattering about her week ahead, show and tell on Tuesday, library day on Thursday, the field trip to the Science Museum next month. Can Sophia come to the museum? Emma asked suddenly, looking up at Nathan with hopeful eyes. Bug, that's a school trip, parents only. But you're coming, right? I'm taking the day off work, yeah. Emma turned to Sophia. You could come too, as my second parent. The words landed like a bomb in the quiet evening air. Nathan's heart stopped completely. Emma, he said carefully. I know she's not my mom. Emma's voice was matter-of-fact, unburdened by the complexity adults assign to these situations. But she could still come, if she wants. Sophia crouched down to Emma's level, and Nathan saw tears gathering in her eyes. I would love to come to the museum with you, if it's okay with your dad and the school allows it. It's okay with me, Emma said confidently. Right, Dad? Nathan looked between them. His daughter, open and trusting, and Sophia, vulnerable and hopeful, and felt his world reorganize itself around this moment. Yeah, Bug, he said softly. It's okay with me. They walked Emma back to Nathan's car, and she climbed into her booster seat, already yawning despite her protest that she wasn't tired. Nathan closed her door and turned to find Sophia watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. That was a lot, Sophia said. Are you okay? I'm terrified, Nathan admitted. She's already attached to you, and we've been on one fake date and one real coffee date. And Nathan… Sophia stepped closer, her hands finding his chest. I'm terrified too, but I don't want to run from this. Do you? He thought about it, really thought about it, about the risk of letting someone into Emma's life who might leave, about the complications of dating someone from work, of blending lives that operated on completely different schedules, about all the ways this could fall apart. Then he thought about Sophia's smile when Emma showed her the drawing, about her hand in his, about feeling seen for the first time in longer than he could remember. No, he said, I don't want to run. Sophia kissed him, soft and brief, and full of promise. Good. Because I really like you, Nathan Cole. And I really like your daughter, and I want to see where this goes. Even though it's messy and complicated? Especially because it's messy and complicated. Sophia pulled back just enough to meet his eyes. Perfect is boring. I'll take real any day. They stood in the parking lot as the sky darkened, Emma already dozing in the back seat, and Nathan let himself believe that maybe, just maybe, this could actually work. The week that followed felt like living in two worlds simultaneously. At work, Nathan was still invisible, emptying trash cans, cleaning bathrooms, moving through the building like a ghost. But now Sophia would appear at unexpected moments, ducking into whatever floor he was working on with coffee or a smile or just to say hi. The other custodians noticed and gave him knowing looks, but Nathan didn't care. "Someone's got a spring in his step," Deshawn commented on Tuesday, finding Nathan whistling while he restocked paper towels on the 6th floor. "Just a good week." "Uh-huh. This got anything to do with that pretty woman from marketing who keeps finding reasons to be wherever you are?" Nathan couldn't stop the smile. "Maybe." "About damn time, man. You deserve something good." The good extended beyond work. Sophia started texting him throughout the day, random observations about meetings, questions about Emma's interests, silly photos of office life that made Nathan laugh out loud in the supply closet. They had lunch together twice, quick 30-minute breaks where they talked about everything and nothing, building familiarity, one conversation at a time. On Wednesday, Sophia invited them to dinner at her apartment. Nathan almost said no. Introducing Sophia to Emma in public was one thing, but going to her home felt like another level of serious. But Emma had been asking about Sophia every day since Sunday, and Nathan found himself saying yes before he could overthink it. Sophia's apartment was in a high-rise downtown, all modern fixtures and floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the city that made Emma gasp. The place was exactly as Sophia had described. Lived in chaos, paper scattered across the dining table, dishes in the sink, but comfortable in a way that spoke of someone who actually inhabited the space. "Sorry about the mess," Sophia said, quickly clearing space on the couch. "I've been working on a presentation and it kind of exploded everywhere." "It's perfect," Nathan said honestly. "Our apartment looks like a craft store threw up in it most days." Emma was already exploring, carefully examining the bookshelf full of business texts and novels, the framed photos of Sophia with her parents and friends, the small collection of soccer trophies on a high shelf. "You kept your trophies," Emma said, pointing. "My mom made me bring them when I moved out. Said they were too important to leave behind." Sophia smiled. "Want to see them?" She lifted Emma up, and the two of them examined each trophy, Sophia telling the story behind everyone, while Emma listened with rapt attention. Nathan watched from the couch, his chest tight with something that felt dangerously close to love. Dinner was takeout, Thai food that Sophia ordered with the efficiency of someone who'd memorized the menu. And they ate on the floor of Sophia's living room because Emma declared it was more fun than using the table. Sophia told stories about work disasters, and Nathan contributed tales of the weirdest things he'd found while cleaning offices. Emma laughed until she had hiccups, and Sophia's earlier nervousness dissolved into easy comfort. After dinner, Emma convinced Sophia to draw with her, and Nathan found himself watching as Sophia sat cross-legged on the floor with crayons and paper, drawing stick figures that Emma critiqued with brutal 6-year-old honesty. "Arms don't go straight out like that," Emma instructed. "They curve. Like this." "You're right. You're definitely better at this than me. That's okay. Dad says practice makes you less bad." "Progress," Nathan corrected. "Practice makes progress." "Same thing," Emma said, already moving on to her next artistic vision. Nathan's phone buzzed with a text from Jenna. "How's dinner with the girlfriend?" He typed back, "She's not my girlfriend. We're just dating." Nathan, "You're at her apartment with your daughter. That's girlfriend territory." He looked up to find Sophia watching him, a question in her eyes. "Everything okay?" she asked. Jenna being Jenna. Nathan set his phone aside. "She says hi. Tell her I say hi back." Sophia stood and stretched. "Emma, your dad and I are going to get more juice from the kitchen. You good here?" "Uh-huh." They moved to Sophia's small kitchen, and she pulled juice from the fridge, but her hands were shaking slightly when she poured. "Hey." Nathan covered her hand with his. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. Everything's..." Sophia set down the juice bottle. This is really good, Nathan. Really good. And that scares me because what if I mess it up? What if I'm not enough or I work too much or… Sophia. Nathan turned her to face him. You're already enough. You show up, you try. You make Emma laugh and you make me feel like I matter. That's more than enough. Your sister called me your girlfriend. She's getting ahead of herself. Is she? Sophia looked up at him, vulnerable and hopeful. Because I kind of want her to be right. Nathan's heart hammered against his ribs. They'd been dating for less than a week, had known each other for years, but only really seen each other for days. This should be too fast, too soon, too much. But Emma had drawn Sophia into their family. Carmen had called her a keeper. And Nathan was tired of being careful with his heart, when being brave might mean finally finding something real. Then let's make her right, he said. Sophia's smile was brilliant. Yeah? Yeah. Nathan kissed her, slow and sweet, and heard Emma call from the living room. Are you guys kissing? Because that's gross, but also kind of cute. They broke apart laughing, and Sophia called back. We're getting juice! Juice doesn't take that long. Nathan grabbed the juice bottle in Sophia's hand, and they returned to the living room where Emma was adding the finishing touches to a drawing of the three of them in Sophia's apartment, all stick figures and bright colors and absolutely perfect. Later that night, after they'd said goodbye and driven home, Emma already half asleep in her booster seat, Nathan carried his daughter up to their apartment and tucked her into bed. Dad? Emma mumbled as he pulled the covers up. Yeah, Bug. I like Sophia. Can she stay? Nathan smoothed her wild curls back from her forehead. We'll see, Bug. But I like her too. Good. She makes you smile the real way. What's the real way? The way where your whole face does it, not just your mouth. Emma yawned, like how I smile at ice cream. Nathan kissed her forehead, his throat tight. Love you, Bug. Love you more. Infinity plus Sophia. He left her room with those words echoing in his head. This new equation his daughter had created where their family of two had space for one more. He pulled out his phone and texted Sophia. Emma says you make me smile the real way. What's the real way? The ice cream way, apparently. That's the best way, Sophia replied, and Nathan could practically hear her smile through the text. Thank you for tonight, for trusting me with her. Thank you for showing up. They texted for another hour, silly conversation and serious moments mixed together, until Nathan's eyes were heavy and he had to be up in 6 hours for work. He fell asleep with his phone in his hand and Sophia's last text on the screen. Sweet dreams, Nathan. I'm really glad we stopped pretending. Friday arrived with autumn rain that turned Denver's streets slick and gray. Nathan's shift started early, 5 a.m., so he could cover for Marcus, who'd called in sick, and he moved through the building in the pre-dawn darkness with his thoughts full of Sophia and Emma and how his life had changed in the span of a week. He was cleaning the conference room on 7 when he heard voices in the hallway, raised, angry, the kind of argument that made him want to disappear into the walls. I don't care what the report says, Marcus. You missed the deadline and now I'm going into this meeting completely unprepared. Nathan froze. Sophia's voice, sharp with stress. Maybe if you spent less time micromanaging and more time actually working. Micromanaging? I asked you for data 3 weeks ago. Nathan moved to the doorway and found Sophia and a man he recognized from the 5th floor. Marcus Reynolds from accounting, tall and smug with perfectly styled hair, facing off in the hallway. Sophia's face was flushed with anger and Marcus looked like he was enjoying her frustration. Not my problem, you can't plan ahead, Marcus said with a shrug. You're deliberately sabotaging me. That's a serious accusation, Sophia. Maybe you should take it to HR. Oh wait, you already tried that and they told you to work it out like adults. Nathan stepped into the hallway. Everything okay here? Both of them turned to look at him, Marcus's expression dismissive, Sophia's grateful. We're fine, Marcus said. Just discussing business. Didn't sound like discussing. Nathan kept his voice level. Sounded like harassment. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Excuse me? You heard me. Sophia asked you for something weeks ago. You ignored her, and now you're mocking her for being upset about it. That's unprofessional. And you are? Nathan Cole. I've worked here 4 years. Long enough to know that deliberately withholding information from a colleague is grounds for disciplinary action. Marcus laughed, short and sharp. You're a janitor. Don't you have toilets to clean? The words were meant to cut, meant to remind Nathan of his place in the building's hierarchy. And they did sting. The casual dismissal of his worth, the reduction of who he was to what he cleaned. But Sophia stepped forward, her voice cold. Nathan has more integrity in his left hand than you have in your entire body, Marcus. And I'd rather have his opinion than yours any day. Sophia, I'm done with this conversation. Sophia turned to Nathan. Can you walk me to my office? Of course. They left Marcus standing in the hallway, his face mottled red with anger, and walked in silence until they reached Sophia's office on the 6th floor. She closed the door behind them and leaned against it, her shoulders shaking. Hey. Nathan crossed to her, unsure if he should touch her or give her space. You okay? No. Sophia's voice was thick with unshed tears. He's been doing this for months, Nathan, ever since I got promoted above him, withholding information, making me look incompetent in meetings, spreading rumors that I only got the job because I'm a woman and the company needed diversity hires. That's harassment, Sophia. You need to report it. I tried. HR said it was a personality conflict and told us to work it out. She wiped roughly at her eyes. And now I'm going into the biggest meeting of my career completely unprepared because Marcus wouldn't send me the data I needed. Nathan thought about the meeting she'd mentioned on Monday, the one that determined her department's funding. When's the meeting? 10 o'clock. He checked his watch. 7:15. What data do you need? Comparative analysis from last year, projection models, Q3 numbers? Sophia shook her head. It doesn't matter. I don't have time to pull it all together myself. What if you did have time? What if someone helped you? Sophia looked at him like he'd grown a second head. Nathan, you can't. You have work. I can take a sick day. The decision formed even as he spoke it. Tell me what you need and where to find it. I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Nathan pulled out his phone. I've got 3 hours. Let's make them count. What followed was controlled chaos. Sophia pulled up files on her computer and talked Nathan through what she needed while he took notes and asked clarifying questions. He might not understand corporate finance, but he understood systems and organization and how to find things people thought were lost. They worked side by side, Sophia building her presentation while Nathan tracked down reports Marcus had buried in shared drives, pulling together the comparative data she needed to make her case. She explained what the numbers meant, and Nathan absorbed the information, finding patterns she might have missed if she wasn't so stressed. By 9:30, they had something solid, not perfect, but comprehensive enough that Sophia wouldn't walk into the meeting empty-handed. This is good, Sophia breathed, scrolling through her slides. Nathan, this is actually really good. You did the hard part. I just found the puzzle pieces. She turned to him, her eyes bright with gratitude and something deeper. I love you. The words hung in the air between them, and Sophia's eyes went wide with shock at what she'd just said. I mean, that came out. I didn't mean to. Nathan kissed her, cutting off her panic with the answer his heart had already known. When he pulled back, he said quietly, I love you too. Sophia laughed, shaky and relieved. We've been dating for a week. I know. That's insane. I know that too. Nathan cupped her face in his hands. But it's true anyway. She kissed him again, fierce and grateful, and Nathan felt the last piece of his carefully constructed walls crumble completely. I have to go, Sophia said reluctantly, checking the time. The meeting? Go kill it. I'll be here when you're done. She grabbed her laptop and files, pausing at the door to look back at him. Nathan, thank you for everything, for seeing me. Always, he said, and meant it with everything he had. Sophia left and Nathan sat in her empty office, his heart full and his future suddenly looking very different than it had a week ago. He pulled out his phone and texted Jenna. You were right, it is like the movies. Details, Jenna replied immediately. I need details. Later. Right now I need to figure out how to tell Emma that Sophia isn't just my friend anymore. She already knows, Nathan. Kids always know. Nathan smiled at his phone, thinking about Emma's drawing, about infinity plus Sophia, about how his daughter had made space in their family before he'd even known there was room. His phone buzzed again. This time it was Sophia. Nailed it. They approved everything. My boss wants to know who helped me pull this together. Can I tell him it was you? Nathan thought about Marcus calling him a janitor, about being invisible, about all the ways the world tried to make him feel small. Then he thought about Sophia's presentation, about using his skills to help her succeed, about being part of something bigger than emptying trash cans. "Tell him," he typed back. "I'm done being invisible." And just like that, everything changed. The call came at noon while Nathan was eating a hastily assembled sandwich in the custodial break room. Sophia's boss wanted to meet him. Not later, not tomorrow, now. "I told Richard you helped me with the research," Sophia said, her voice crackling through the phone with barely contained excitement. "He wants to thank you personally. Can you come up to the executive floor?" Nathan looked down at his navy coveralls, at the coffee stain on his sleeve and the dust smudged across his knees. "Sophia, I'm not exactly dressed for—" "You're perfect. Just come. Please?" He went. The executive floor was a place Nathan usually cleaned after hours when the important people had gone home. Walking through it now, in daylight, with employees bustling between offices and conference rooms, felt like stepping onto foreign soil. The carpet was thicker here, the art more expensive, the air itself seeming to carry more weight. Sophia met him at the elevator, her face flushed with triumph and nerves. She'd changed since the meeting, traded her presentation clothes for something more relaxed but still professional, and Nathan realized with a jolt that she'd been waiting for him, that she'd wanted to share this moment together. "You ready?" she asked, taking his hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Not even a little bit." "Good. Me neither." She squeezed his fingers. "Come on." Richard Patterson's office occupied the corner of the building with windows on two sides and a view that stretched to the mountains. The man himself was in his 50s, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, with the kind of presence that filled a room without effort. He stood when they entered, extending his hand to Nathan with a smile that seemed genuine. "Nathan Cole, Richard Patterson. Sophia tells me you're the reason we just secured $2 million in funding." Nathan shook his hand, acutely aware of his custodian uniform, of how out of place he must look. "I just helped her find some files, sir. Sophia did all the real work." "Don't let him downplay it," Sophia interjected. "Marcus buried the data where no one would find it. Nathan located everything I needed in under 3 hours and helped me identify patterns I'd missed. Without him, I would have walked into that meeting with nothing." Richard studied Nathan with interest. "Sophia mentioned you work in facilities maintenance?" "Custodial, yes, sir. 4 years." "And you understand financial data analysis?" "I understand systems," Nathan said carefully. "How things connect, where information lives, what patterns mean. The specifics I learned this morning, but the principles are the same whether you're tracking corporate budgets or inventory supplies." "Interesting." Richard gestured to the chairs across from his desk. "Sit, please, both of you." They sat and Nathan tried not to feel like he was being evaluated, even though he clearly was. Richard leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. "We have a problem in this building," he said. "People operate in silos. Marketing doesn't talk to sales, finance hoards information from operations, and everyone's so focused on protecting their territory that we miss opportunities for collaboration. Meanwhile, someone who cleans our offices apparently has more cross-departmental knowledge than half my managers." Nathan wasn't sure if that was a compliment or an indictment. "I'd like to offer you a position," Richard continued, "operations coordinator. You'd work directly with department heads to identify inefficiencies, streamline processes, facilitate information sharing. It's not glamorous, but it's vital. And based on what Sophia tells me, you'd be perfect for it." The words took a moment to penetrate. When they did, Nathan felt like he'd been hit with a freight train. "Sir, I'm a custodian. I don't have a business degree or management experience. You have 4 years of institutional knowledge, the ability to see systems holistically, and apparently the integrity to help a colleague succeed, even when it meant taking a sick day from your own job." Richard's expression was firm. "That's worth more than a degree. The question is whether you're interested." Nathan looked at Sophia, who was smiling so hard her face might split. He thought about Emma, about providing her with more than just the basics, about not having to work nights and weekends, about finally being visible. "What's the salary?" he asked, his voice steadier than he felt. Richard named a figure that was nearly double what Nathan currently made. Nathan's head spun. That kind of money meant security, savings, college funds. A A car that didn't sound like it was dying every time he started the engine. I need to think about it, he heard himself say. Richard nodded. Fair enough. Take the weekend. Let me know Monday. They shook hands again, and Sophia practically dragged Nathan out of the office. Once they were in the hallway, safely out of earshot, she threw her arms around his neck. Oh my gosh, Nathan, this is amazing. It's terrifying, Nathan corrected, but he was smiling despite the anxiety clawing at his chest. What if I can't do it? What if I fail? You won't. Sophia pulled back just enough to look at him. You're brilliant and organized, and you see things other people miss. You'll be incredible. You're biased. I'm right. She kissed him, quick and fierce. Say yes. Please say yes. Nathan wanted to. The opportunity was everything he'd never let himself hope for. Respect, financial stability, work that used his brain instead of just his hands. But accepting meant leaving behind the safety of invisibility, meant stepping into a world where people would scrutinize his every move. I need to talk to Emma, he said. This affects her too. Of course. Sophia's expression softened. Whatever you decide, I'm proud of you. You know that, right? I'm still processing that any of this is real. Get used to it. She checked her watch. I have a 2:00 meeting, but tonight, can I take you and Emma to dinner? Celebrate? You're celebrating before I've even said yes? I'm celebrating you getting the offer. The yes is just a formality. Sophia grinned. 6:30? That Italian place Emma liked? She's going to order spaghetti and get sauce everywhere. Perfect. I'll wear something washable. Nathan left the executive floor in a daze, his mind churning with possibilities and fears in equal measure. He finished his shift on autopilot, emptying trash cans and restocking supplies while his thoughts raced ahead to Monday's decision. Deshawn found him in the supply closet at 3, sitting on an overturned bucket with his head in his hands. You look like someone who just won the lottery and lost the ticket, Deshawn observed, leaning against the doorframe. Richard Patterson offered me a job, operations coordinator. Deshawn's eyebrows shot up. The Richard Patterson? Corner office, Richard Patterson? That's the one. Man, that's incredible. Why do you look like someone died? Because I don't know if I can do it. Nathan looked up at his friend. What if I take the job and everyone realizes I'm just a custodian playing dress-up? What if I mess up and let down the people who believed in me? Or what if you're amazing at it and your life gets better and you stop working yourself to death for minimum wage? Deshawn crossed his arms. Fear's a liar, Nathan. It'll tell you all kinds of stories about why you should stay small. Don't listen to it. Easy for you to say. Not easy at all. You think I wasn't scared when I applied for head of security? I was a night guard who barely finished community college. But my wife told me the same thing I'm telling you now. You're already doing the work. You might as well get paid for it. Deshawn pushed off the doorframe. Take the job, man. You've earned it. Nathan picked up Emma from school at 3:30, and she bounced into the car with her usual tornado of energy, backpack dragging, papers flying. Dad, guess what happened today? What happened today, Bug? Marcus brought a lizard again, and this time it pooped on his desk, and Miss Rodriguez said that's what happens when you don't ask permission. Emma buckled herself in with practiced efficiency. Can we get a lizard? No. What if I promise to clean up the poop? Still no. Emma pouted for exactly 30 seconds before moving on. Are we seeing Sophia tonight? How did you know that? Because you keep checking your phone and smiling. You only do that when Sophia texts you. Emma kicked her feet against the booster seat. Also, you're wearing the blue shirt again. Nathan glanced down at his shirt. He'd changed after work, wanting to look presentable for dinner, and marveled at his daughter's observational skills. We're going to dinner, he confirmed, at the Italian place. Yes, Emma pumped her fist. Can I get extra breadsticks? We'll see. They drove home and Nathan made Emma a snack while trying to figure out how to explain the job offer in terms a 6-year-old would understand. Emma sat at the kitchen table, swinging her legs and munching apple slices, watching him with those too perceptive eyes. Dad, are you nervous about something? What makes you say that? You're making your thinking face, the one where your eyebrows go together. She demonstrated, scrunching her features into an exaggerated scowl. Nathan sat down across from her. I got offered a new job today, Bug. A better one. More money, better hours, but also different, scarier. Why is it scary? Because I'd be doing things I've never done before, working with people who are really smart and important. What if I'm not good enough? Emma looked at him like he'd said the sky was purple. Dad, you're good at everything. I'm not, Bug. I'm just okay at most things. You're good at being my dad. That's the most important thing. She took another apple slice, chewing thoughtfully. Miss Rodriguez says being scared means you're doing something brave. Like when I was scared to do show and tell, but I did it anyway, and everyone loved my drawing. Nathan felt his throat tighten. When did you get so wise? I was born wise. You tell me that all the time. I do, don't I? He reached across the table and ruffled her hair. So you think I should take the new job? Will you be home more? Probably, yeah. Then yes. Emma said it like the answer was obvious. We could have more waffle days. That's your criteria? More waffles? Waffles are important, Dad. Nathan laughed, the sound releasing some of the tension that had been building all day. Okay, Bug. I'll think about it. And ask Sophia. She's smart about grown-up stuff. How do you know that? Because she has a really big apartment and lots of books. That means she's smart. Emma finished her snack and hopped down from the table. Can I wear my purple dress to dinner? It's in the wash. The rainbow shirt? You wore that last time we saw Sophia. So? She said rainbows are her favorite. Emma was already heading toward her room. I'm wearing the rainbow shirt. Nathan let her go, smiling despite his nerves. His daughter had spoken. Rainbows it was. They met Sophia at the restaurant at 6:30 sharp. She was already there, waiting outside with that smile that made Nathan's heart do complicated things. She dressed casually, jeans and a soft green sweater, and she crouched down when Emma ran up to hug her. Rainbow shirt again, Sophia said approvingly. Excellent choice. It's my good luck shirt, Emma explained, for celebrating. Then it's perfect. The restaurant was busy with Friday evening crowds, but Sophia had called ahead and they were seated quickly at a booth in the corner. Emma slid in beside Sophia without hesitation, already chattering about the lizard incident, and Nathan watched them together with a fullness in his chest that felt almost painful. This was what family looked like. Not perfect, not traditional, but real and warm and present. They ordered spaghetti for Emma, chicken parmesan for Nathan, lasagna for Sophia, and extra breadsticks because Emma had deployed her most effective puppy dog eyes. While they waited for food, Sophia pulled a small wrapped package from her purse. I got you something, she said to Emma. Emma's eyes went wide. Really? Really. Open it. Emma tore into the wrapping with 6-year-old enthusiasm to reveal a set of professional colored pencils, the kind with dozens of colors, and a case that looked expensive. Sophia, Nathan started, you didn't have to. I wanted to. Sophia watched Emma's face light up as she examined each pencil. I figured if you're going to be an artist, you need proper supplies. These are so cool. Emma threw her arms around Sophia's neck. Thank you. You're welcome, sweetie. Sophia hugged her back, and Nathan saw tears gathering in her eyes. When Emma pulled away to examine her new pencils more closely, Sophia met Nathan's gaze across the table and mouthed, I love her. Nathan mouthed back, I love you. The food arrived, and they ate with easy conversation flowing around them. Emma told Sophia about her upcoming field trip, about how her dad was taking the day off to be a chaperone, and could Sophia come too? Actually, Sophia said, glancing at Nathan for permission, I already asked if I could join. Your teacher said yes. Emma's squeal of delight turned heads at nearby tables. Really? You're really coming? Really, I wouldn't miss it. This is the best day ever. Emma attacked her spaghetti with renewed enthusiasm, getting sauce on her face within 30 seconds. Nathan watched Sophia gently wipe Emma's cheek with a napkin, the gesture so natural and maternal it made his chest ache. She was good at this, at being present with Emma, at treating her like a person rather than an accessory, and Emma had bloomed under the attention, already treating Sophia like she'd always been part of their lives. So, Sophia said after Emma had returned to her meal, did you make a decision about the job? Nathan had been waiting for this question. I'm going to say yes. Sophia's face broke into a brilliant smile. Nathan, that's amazing. On one condition, he added, I need to know this is real. Us, I mean. Because if I take this job, we'll be working in the same building again, seeing each other at work. And if things go wrong, things won't go wrong, Sophia interrupted. You can't know that. You're right. I can't. She reached across the table and took his hand. But I can promise that I'm all in, that this isn't just convenient or fun or a way to stop my parents from worrying. I love you, Nathan. I love Emma, and I want to build something real with both of you. Emma looked up from her spaghetti, sauce smeared across her grin. Are you guys being mushy? Very mushy, Nathan confirmed. Okay, just wanted to know. She went back to her pasta, unbothered by the life-changing conversation happening over dinner. Nathan squeezed Sophia's hand. I'm all in too. Scared out of my mind, but all in. Good. Sophia's smile was soft. We'll figure it out together. They finished dinner and walked to a nearby park where Emma ran ahead to the playground, her new colored pencils carefully stored in Nathan's jacket pocket. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and orange, and Sophia leaned against Nathan's side while they watched Emma climb the jungle gym. My parents want to have us over for dinner again, Sophia said. Next weekend. They want to meet Emma properly. Are you sure? That's a lot of family time in 2 weeks. They love you. My mom's already planning the menu. Sophia turned to look at him. Plus, I think Emma charmed them over the phone when I called to tell them the meeting went well. She grabbed my phone and told my dad about her rainbow shirt. Nathan laughed. Of course she did. He's bringing his guitar, wants to teach Emma some chords. The image made Nathan's heart full. Roberto with Emma, passing down music the way he'd tried to do with Nathan, building connections across generations. She'd love that. They stayed at the park until Emma's energy finally flagged and she declared she was ready to go home. The drive back was quiet. Emma dozing in the back seat while Nathan's mind drifted to Monday, to the new job, to the life that was taking shape around him faster than he could process. Sophia followed them up to the apartment, helping Nathan carry a sleepy Emma inside. He got his daughter ready for bed while Sophia waited in the living room, and when he emerged from Emma's bedroom, he found her looking at the photos on his wall. Pictures of Emma at various ages, of Nathan and Jenna as kids, of the family that used to be before it became just him and his daughter. She looks like you, Sophia said, pointing to a photo of baby Emma. Same eyes, same stubborn chin. She gets the stubbornness from her mother, Nathan said automatically, then stopped. He so rarely talked about Emma's mother that the words felt foreign. Sophia turned to face him. You don't talk about her, Emma's mom. There's not much to say. We were young, stupid, not ready for a kid. She tried for 6 months and then she left. Nathan shoved his hands in his pockets. Signed over full custody, sends a birthday card every year with money in it, but otherwise, she's not part of Emma's life. Does Emma ask about her? Sometimes. Less now than she used to. Nathan moved to the couch and Sophia followed, sitting close enough that their thighs touched. I used to worry I wasn't enough, that Emma needed a mother. But my sister said kids don't need perfect families. They just need people who show up, so I show up. You do more than show up, Sophia's voice was fierce. You're an incredible father, Nathan. Emma's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have her. He paused, gathering courage for what he needed to say next. Sophia, if you're serious about this, about us, you need to know that Emma comes first, always. If there's ever a choice between what's good for her and what's good for our relationship, Emma comes first, Sophia finished. I know, and I wouldn't want it any other way. She took his hand, threading their fingers together. I'm not trying to replace her mother or insert myself where I don't belong. I just want to be part of your lives in whatever way makes sense. If that's as your girlfriend who takes Emma to museums, great. If it eventually becomes more than that, also great. But there's no pressure, no timeline. We figure it out as we go. Nathan pulled her close, breathing in the vanilla scent of her hair. How are you real? I asked myself the same thing about you. Sophia shifted to look at him. A week ago, I was panicking about dinner with my parents. Now I'm sitting in your apartment talking about the future like it's something I can actually imagine. You did that. We did that, Nathan corrected. Together. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, the apartment quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic outside. Nathan felt something settle in his chest, a piece he hadn't known he was missing until Sophia filled the empty space. Stay tonight, he said quietly. Not like that, he added quickly when her eyebrows rose. Just stay. Sleep on the couch, or in my bed if you want. I'll take the couch. I just want you here. Sophia's smile was tender. Okay, but I'm not kicking you out of your own bed. We can share like adults. Emma will have questions in the morning. Then we'll answer them. Sophia kissed him softly. Together. They got ready for bed with the awkward choreography of people not yet accustomed to sharing space. Nathan lent Sophia a t-shirt, and she changed in the bathroom while he pulled out extra pillows and made sure there were enough blankets. When they finally settled into bed, Nathan on one side, Sophia on the other, a careful distance between them, it felt both strange and natural all at once. Nathan? Sophia's voice was soft in the darkness. Yeah? Thank you for letting me in. I know it's scary, trusting someone with Emma, but I promise I won't let you down. I know you won't. And he did know, with a certainty that surprised him. Night, Sophia. Night. He was almost asleep when he felt her move closer, her head finding his shoulder, her arm draping across his chest. Nathan wrapped his arm around her and pulled her closer, and Sophia sighed contentedly. This okay? She whispered. Perfect, he whispered back. They fell asleep like that, tangled together in Nathan's small bed, while Emma slept peacefully in the next room and Denver's lights glittered outside the window. Morning arrived with Emma's voice cutting through Nathan's sleep like a foghorn. Dad, Sophia's in your bed! Nathan jerked awake to find his daughter standing in the doorway, backlit by hallway light, hands on her hips, in perfect imitation of disapproval. Beside him, Sophia was awake too, her hair a mess and her eyes wide with panic. Bug, Nathan said carefully. Sophia slept over. We were just having a sleepover? Emma's expression brightened immediately. Can I have sleepovers too? That's different. Why? Because you're grown-ups? Emma climbed onto the bed between them without waiting for permission. When I'm a grown-up, I'm having sleepovers every night. Sophia bit her lip, clearly trying not to laugh. Nathan shot her a look that said this is your fault somehow, and she mouthed back, how is this my fault? Okay, Bug, new rule, Nathan said. When adults have sleepovers, kids knock before coming in the bedroom. Deal? Deal. Can we have pancakes? It's Saturday. Saturday is cereal day. But Sophia's here. That makes it special. Emma deployed her most devastating puppy dog eyes, this time directed at Sophia. Don't you think pancakes would be good? I think pancakes sound amazing, Sophia said, betraying Nathan completely. I'll help make them. Emma pumped her fist in victory and scrambled off the bed. I'll get the chocolate chips. She thundered out of the room and Nathan flopped back against the pillows. You just got played by a 6-year-old. I regret nothing. I want pancakes too. Sophia propped herself up on her elbow, looking down at him with sleep-soft eyes. Good morning, by the way. Morning? Nathan reached up and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. You're beautiful in the morning. I'm a disaster in the morning. Beautiful disaster. Sophia kissed him, slow and sweet, and Nathan let himself exist in the moment, in the warmth of her lips against his, in the sound of Emma singing in the kitchen, in the realization that this was his life now. Not perfect, not simple, but real and full, and more than he'd ever thought to hope for. They made pancakes together, the three of them crowding into Nathan's small kitchen with flour everywhere, and Emma insisting she could flip them herself. Sophia was patient and encouraging, and when Emma inevitably dropped a pancake on the floor, she just laughed and said that was the tester pancake anyway. After breakfast, Sophia had to leave, work to catch up on, errands to run, life beyond their little bubble. Emma hugged her goodbye at the door and made her promise to come back soon. Tomorrow? Emma suggested hopefully. I have plans with my parents tomorrow, but maybe Monday after work? Okay. Bring your colored pencils. We can draw together. You have your colored pencils. I gave them to you. I know, but you need your own, so we match. Emma's logic was unassailable. Sophia promised to bring colored pencils and kissed Nathan goodbye, and then it was just him and Emma again, the apartment feeling bigger and quieter in her absence. Dad? Emma said as they cleaned up the breakfast dishes. Yeah, Bug? Is Sophia going to be my new mom? Nathan's hands stilled in the soapy water. This was the conversation he'd been dreading, the one he didn't have good answers for. Would you want that? Emma thought about it with the seriousness she brought to important questions. I like Sophia a lot, and you're happy when she's here, but I don't need a mom if it means you stop being my dad. Emma. Nathan dried his hands and crouched down to her level. Nothing and no one could ever make me stop being your dad. You're stuck with me forever, understand? If Sophia becomes part of our family, it just means you get more people to love you. It doesn't take anything away. Like how Aunt Jenna is family, but she's not my mom? Exactly like that. Emma nodded, satisfied. Okay, then I want Sophia to be family. She gives good hugs, and she's nice, and she doesn't treat me like a baby. Nathan pulled his daughter into a hug, his heart so full it hurt. You're pretty amazing, you know that? I know, you tell me all the time. Emma hugged him back fiercely. I love you, Dad. Love you more, Bug. Infinity. Infinity plus Sophia, Emma said. And Nathan realized his daughter had already made peace with their changing family in the way only children could, simply, honestly, with a heart wide open to possibility. Monday morning, Nathan walked into Richard Patterson's office in a borrowed dress shirt and his best jeans and accepted the job that would change his life. You won't regret this, Richard said, shaking his hand. And as Nathan looked out the window at Denver spreading below him, at the city where he'd struggled and survived and somehow found love when he'd stopped looking for it, he thought that maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't. Nathan's first day as operations coordinator started with a desk that had his name on a placard and a computer that didn't smell like industrial cleaner. The office was small, barely bigger than the custodial closet he'd worked from for 4 years, but it had a window overlooking downtown Denver and a door that closed, and that felt like luxury. He was arranging his sparse belongings when Sophia appeared in the doorway with 2 cups of coffee and a smile that made his heart skip. Welcome to the 7th floor, she said, setting 1 cup on his desk. How does it feel? Surreal. I keep waiting for someone to realize they made a mistake. Nathan took the coffee gratefully. I saw Marcus in the hallway. He looked like he wanted to set me on fire with his mind. Marcus is being reassigned to a different department. Richard found out he'd been sabotaging my work and decided that wasn't the kind of collaboration he wanted to encourage. Sophia's smile turned sharp. Karma's real, apparently. You reported him? I didn't have to. Turns out when you help your girlfriend nail a major presentation, other people notice patterns. 3 other women came forward with similar stories. Sophia perched on the edge of his desk. He's lucky he's just being moved and not fired. Nathan thought about Marcus calling him a janitor, about all the small cruelties designed to keep people in their place. Good. He deserved worse. Agreed. Sophia sipped her coffee. So, operations coordinator, what's your first official act? Survive the morning without embarrassing myself? Aim higher. You're brilliant, remember? She leaned down and kissed him quickly. And for the record, everyone on this floor already knows you're the reason my presentation succeeded. You've got credibility before you even start. No pressure. All the pressure, but I believe in you. She stood, smoothing her skirt. Lunch later? Can't. I have orientation meetings all day. Richard wants me shadowing different departments to understand workflows. Dinner then. I'll bring takeout to your place. Emma said she wanted to show me her science project. Nathan smiled at how naturally Sophia had woven herself into their evening routines. Deal. But you're buying real food this time, not just Chinese takeout for the 3rd night in a row. Emma likes Chinese food. Emma would eat chicken nuggets every meal if I let her. Variety, Sophia. She stuck her tongue out at him and left, and Nathan turned to his computer with a nervous excitement building in his chest. The morning passed in a blur of introductions and information, department heads explaining their processes while Nathan took notes and asked questions that seemed to surprise them with their insight. By lunch, he'd identified 6 inefficiencies that could be streamlined, 3 communication breakdowns that were causing redundant work, and 1 software system that absolutely nobody understood but everyone kept using because that's how they'd always done it. Richard stopped by at 2 to check in. How's it going? Good. Overwhelming, but good. Nathan gestured to his pages of notes. I'm starting to see why information gets siloed. Everyone's so focused on their own piece they can't see the whole system. Exactly the problem I hired you to solve. Richard studied Nathan's notes with approval. You see the forest and the trees, that's rare. Or I'm just good at noticing when things don't make sense. Same skill, different name, Richard straightened. Take your time getting oriented. No pressure to solve everything in week one. But Nathan was already forming ideas, connections sparking in his mind like the organizational systems he used to build for tracking cleaning supplies and maintenance schedules. This was just a bigger scale, more complex, but the principles were the same. He worked until 6, until the building started emptying and the evening custodial crew arrived. Deshaun appeared in his doorway, pushing a cleaning cart, grinning like he'd won the lottery. Look at you. Office with a window and everything. Don't get used to it. I might be fired by Friday. You won't be? Deshaun started emptying Nathan's trash can. You know what you're doing. You just need to believe it. Nathan watched his friend work, feeling the strangeness of being on the other side of this interaction. Deshaun, you don't have to... It's my job, man. Same as it was yours last week. Deshaun's expression was knowing. Don't get weird about it. You earned this promotion. That doesn't mean you're better than us. It just means you're doing something different now. I don't want to forget where I came from. You won't. That's not who you are. Deshaun finished and straightened. Now go home to your girlfriend and your kid. Leave the cleaning to me. Nathan drove home with his mind full of workflow diagrams and process improvements. But the moment he walked into his apartment and found Emma and Sophia sprawled on the living room floor with construction paper and glitter everywhere, work disappeared. Dad! Emma jumped up, glitter flying like snow. Look what we made! She held up a diorama of the solar system, complete with planets made from painted styrofoam balls and a sun that was definitely just a tennis ball covered in yellow tissue paper. That's amazing, Bug. Is this your science project? Uh-huh, yeah. Sophia helped me with the hard parts, but I did all the painting. Emma beamed with pride. We even made Pluto, even though it's not a real planet anymore. Pluto deserves representation, Sophia said solemnly from the floor, where she was covered in nearly as much glitter as Emma. We stand with Pluto. Nathan laughed and crouched down to examine their work. This is really good. Your teacher's going to love it. I know, because I'm excellent at science. Emma had her mother's confidence without any of the bitterness. Can we eat now? I'm starving. Sophia had brought Thai food, pad Thai for Emma, drunken noodles for Nathan, green curry for herself, and they ate on the floor because Emma declared the table was boring. Conversation flowed easily, Emma telling them about her day while Sophia and Nathan exchanged glances over her head, the kind of silent communication that came from knowing each other deeply. After dinner, while Emma was in the bath, Nathan and Sophia cleaned up the glitter explosion in the living room. I'm pretty sure we'll be finding glitter in this apartment for the next 5 years, Sophia said, sweeping up another pile of sparkles. That's the thing about glitter, it's eternal. Nathan dumped glitter into the trash. Kind of like how you're part of our lives now, permanent and impossible to get rid of. Are you comparing me to glitter? I'm saying you've made everything shinier. Nathan pulled her close, not caring about the mess still surrounding them. Thank you for this. For showing up, for helping Emma with her project, for making our lives better just by being in them. Sophia's eyes went soft. Nathan, I'm not doing you a favor. I love being here. I love Emma. I love... She paused, then said it with conviction. I love you. This isn't obligation or charity. It's just where I want to be. Nathan kissed her, slow and deep, until Emma's voice called from the bathroom that she was ready to get out. They fell into a rhythm over the following weeks. Nathan learned his new job with the same methodical approach he brought to everything, building spreadsheets and communication protocols that started to break down the silos Richard had complained about. He held meetings where department heads actually talked to each other, facilitated information sharing, and slowly but surely, things started to improve. Sophia's department got their funding, and she was promoted to senior manager, which meant longer hours but also more autonomy. She and Nathan coordinated their schedules like a precision operation. Who would pick up Emma from school, who was working late, when they could carve out time together as a couple versus time as a makeshift family. Emma thrived under the attention. She had Sophia to talk to about school projects, Nathan for bedtime stories, and a growing sense that her small family had expanded in ways that felt natural rather than forced. The Science Museum field trip arrived on a crisp October morning. Nathan took the day off and met Sophia at Riverside Elementary, where chaos reigned as first graders were loaded onto buses with varying degrees of enthusiasm and terror. Emma spotted them and ran over, her permission slip clutched in one hand. You both came. We both promised, Sophia said, adjusting Emma's backpack straps. Ready for adventure? So ready. They boarded the bus and ended up in the back with Emma between them, chattering about which exhibits she wanted to see first. The other parent chaperones gave Nathan and Sophia curious looks. Most of them had known Nathan as the single dad who always came alone, but nobody said anything directly. At the museum, Emma dragged them from exhibit to exhibit with boundless energy. She made them touch the static electricity ball until their hair stood on end, insisted they all try the earthquake simulator, and spent 20 minutes at the dinosaur exhibit asking questions that neither Nathan nor Sophia could answer. Why did the T-Rex have such little arms? Emma demanded, staring up at the massive skeleton. Scientists aren't totally sure, Nathan said. Maybe they didn't need big arms because their jaws were so powerful. That's a dumb reason. I would want big arms and big jaws. Emma moved on to the Triceratops. Sophia, if you were a dinosaur, which one would you be? Velociraptor, Sophia said without hesitation. Small, smart, hunted in packs. I'd be a Brachiosaurus, tall so I could see everything. Emma looked up at Nathan expectantly. What about you, Dad? Stegosaurus, mostly peaceful but can defend itself when necessary. That's perfect for you, Sophia said, her smile warm. They ate lunch in the museum cafeteria where Emma declared the chicken nuggets were the best she'd ever had, which was objectively false, but Nathan didn't argue. Afterward, they let Emma lead them through the space exhibit where she explained the solar system with the authority of someone whose science project had earned an A+. On the bus ride back, Emma fell asleep against Sophia's shoulder while Nathan watched them both, his heart so full it felt like it might burst. Sophia caught his eye and smiled, her hand finding his across Emma's sleeping form. This is nice, she whispered. Yeah, Nathan whispered back. It really is. 2 weeks later, Carmen and Roberto invited them back to dinner. This time, Emma came along, nervous and excited in equal measure. What if they don't like me? She asked in the car, fiddling with her seatbelt. They're going to love you, Sophia assured her from the passenger seat. My mom's been asking about you nonstop, and my dad brought his guitar specifically to teach you some chords. Really? Really? Emma's nervousness evaporated the moment Carmen opened the door and pulled her into a hug that lifted her off the ground. You must be Emma! I've heard so much about you! Carmen set her down and crouched to her level. Your dad tells me you're an excellent artist. I'm pretty good, Emma said with characteristic honesty. I brought you a drawing. She pulled a folded piece of paper from her pocket, a drawing of Carmen and Roberto's house with stick figures of all 5 of them holding hands in front. Carmen's eyes filled with tears. This is beautiful, mija. Can I keep it? That's why I made it, to keep. Emma beamed. Roberto appeared and shook Emma's hand with the same seriousness he'd shown Nathan. Emma Cole, your father tells me you want to learn guitar. Yes, please, Mr. Roberto. Just Roberto? Come, I'll show you my collection. Emma took his offered hand without hesitation, and Roberto led her toward his den, already explaining the difference between acoustic and electric guitars. Nathan watched them go with a lump in his throat. Your daughter is precious, Carmen said, wiping her eyes. Come, both of you, dinner's almost ready. The evening was chaos in the best way. Emma charmed everyone with her directness and curiosity, asking questions about everything from Carmen's cooking to why Roberto had so many guitars. They ate tamales and rice and beans, and Emma tried everything even though Nathan warned her the salsa might be too spicy. It's not that bad, Emma declared, her eyes watering. I'm tough. After dinner, Roberto taught Emma basic chords on a smaller guitar he pulled from his collection. Emma's fingers were too small to make the shapes properly, but Roberto was patient, showing her over and over until she managed something that almost sounded like music. You're a natural, he told her, and Emma glowed under the praise. Nathan sat with Sophia and Carmen in the living room, watching through the open door as Roberto worked with Emma. He's always wanted more grandchildren, Carmen said quietly. We only had Sophia, and we thought, she smiled at Sophia. But now maybe we're getting our chance. Sophia's hand tightened on Nathan's. Mama, we haven't talked about. I'm not asking you to rush, Carmen said gently. Just saying what I see. You three are good together. You make a family. Nathan felt Sophia's gaze on him and turned to meet her eyes. There was vulnerability there, and hope, and a question she wasn't quite asking out loud. Yeah, he said softly. We do. Later, driving home with Emma asleep in the back seat and Sophia's hand warm in his, Nathan felt something shift into place. This was his life now, not the one he'd planned, not the one he'd expected, but the one he'd found by saying yes to helping someone who needed it, by being brave enough to be seen. Nathan? Sophia's voice was quiet, careful not to wake Emma. Yeah? I've been thinking about something. She paused, gathering courage. My lease is up in 2 months. I was going to renew, but what if I didn't? What if I moved in with you instead? Nathan's heart stopped. Sophia, I know it's fast. I know we've only been together for 2 months, but I'm here most nights anyway, and Emma already keeps a drawer of my clothes at your place, and Sophia took a breath. I want this, the family thing, with you and Emma, if you want it too. Nathan thought about his small apartment, about making room in closets and bathroom cabinets, about Emma having Sophia there every morning and every night, about building something permanent instead of pretending this was temporary. My apartment is tiny, he said, and the building's not great. You'd be downgrading significantly from your place downtown. I don't care about the apartment. I care about who's in it. Emma will have opinions about how you organize the bathroom. I'm prepared for opinions. And if this doesn't work, if we try living together and it falls apart, it affects Emma too. I have to protect her. I know. Sophia's voice was fierce. Nathan, I would never hurt her. Or you. I'm in this for real, not until it gets hard. I love you both too much to walk away when things get complicated. Nathan pulled the car into his apartment complex and parked. In the back seat, Emma stirred but didn't wake. He turned to face Sophia fully. Ask me again, he said. Ask me properly. Sophia's smile started slow and spread until it lit up her entire face. Nathan Cole, will you let me move into your tiny apartment and share your bathroom and probably drive you crazy with how many books I own? Yes, Nathan said, and kissed her while Emma slept peacefully behind them, and Denver's lights glittered through the windshield. The next 2 months were organized chaos. Sophia gave notice on her lease and started the process of packing up her life into boxes. Nathan and Emma cleared space in closets and drawers, though Emma insisted Sophia needed her own shelf in the bookcase for her important things. What counts as important? Nathan asked. Whatever she wants to keep, Emma said simply, like how my drawings are important. They told Jenna, who squealed so loud Nathan had to hold the phone away from his ear. They told Carmen and Roberto, who immediately started planning a housewarming dinner. They told Richard, who smiled knowingly and said he'd wondered how long it would take. The only person who seemed unhappy was Marcus, who Nathan occasionally saw in the hallways looking bitter. But Marcus was someone else's problem now, reassigned to a department where his behavior was monitored closely. Moving day arrived on a Saturday in early December. Jenna showed up with her boyfriend and a truck. Deshawn appeared with reinforcements from the building's security team, and somehow Sophia's entire apartment made it into Nathan's place with minimal damage and maximum commentary about how many books one person could possibly own. I'm a reader, Sophia defended herself for the 10th time as they unpacked yet another box of novels. You're a hoarder, Jenna corrected, but a literate one. Emma helped by unpacking Sophia's clothes and insisting on organizing them by color in the closet, which Sophia declared was genius and Nathan thought was adorable chaos. By evening, the apartment looked like a tornado had hit it, but Sophia's belongings were integrated with theirs in ways that felt permanent. Her coffee mugs mixed with Nathan's, her photos added to the wall beside Emma's drawings, her guitar, a gift from Roberto, leaning against Nathan's in the corner. After everyone left and Emma was finally asleep, Nathan and Sophia stood in the living room surveying the wreckage. We did it, Sophia said, leaning against him. We did. Nathan wrapped his arms around her waist. No regrets? Not even one. She turned to face him. This is home now. You and Emma and this tiny apartment full of books and glitter and love. This is home. Nathan kissed her, deep and slow, and felt the truth of it settle into his bones. Home wasn't a place. It was people who showed up, who chose each other, who built something real out of honesty and hope. Christmas came with Sophia's first attempt at hosting dinner for Carmen and Roberto and Jenna and her boyfriend, which resulted in a slightly burned turkey and perfect tamales that Carmen had insisted on contributing. They ate crowded around Nathan's small table with an extra folding chair borrowed from Deshawn, and Emma declared it the best Christmas ever because she had so many people to love. On New Year's Eve, after Emma was asleep and the city was counting down to midnight somewhere beyond their windows, Nathan pulled a small box from his pocket. Sophia's eyes went wide. "Nathan, it's not what you think," he said quickly. "Or maybe it is. I don't know." He opened the box to reveal a simple silver ring. "This is a promise that I choose you every day, that you're part of this family permanently, not just until something better comes along. That I love you and I want to build a life with you, and someday, when the time is right, I want to make it official. But for now, this is me saying you're it for me. You and Emma and whatever family we build together." Sophia's tears spilled over as she held out her hand. "Yes, to all of it. Yes." Nathan slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her while fireworks started exploding somewhere in the distance, Denver celebrating the new year while they celebrated something more personal and profound. Months passed. Nathan's job evolved from coordinator to director of operations, and he hired a small team to help manage the growing complexity of keeping Brightside running smoothly. Sophia's department doubled in size, and she became known as the manager who actually listened to her team, who made space for people's lives outside of work. Emma turned 7 and had a birthday party where half her class came, and Sophia organized games while Nathan managed the cake. When it was time to blow out candles, Emma made her wish with her eyes squeezed shut and refused to tell anyone what she'd wished for. "If I tell, it won't come true," she explained seriously. But Nathan thought he knew what she'd wished for, because he'd wished for it too. That this feeling, this fullness, this family they'd built from honesty and courage would last forever. One evening in late spring, Sophia came home from work looking nervous in a way Nathan had learned to recognize. He waited until after dinner, until Emma was occupied with homework at the kitchen table before asking, "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. The opposite, actually." Sophia took his hand. "I got offered a job in Seattle, VP of marketing for a tech startup. It's incredible money, incredible opportunity, but it would mean leaving Denver," Nathan finished, his stomach dropping. "I already turned it down." Nathan blinked. "What?" "I turned it down," Sophia repeated, "because my life is here. You're here. Emma's here. My parents are close enough to visit. A job is just a job, but you two are my family. That's not negotiable. Sophia, you can't turn down opportunities like that for me. I can, and I did, because some things matter more than career advancement." She cupped his face in her hands. "You taught me that, Nathan. You've been turning down opportunities your whole life to be there for Emma. That's not sacrifice, it's love. And I love you both too much to choose a job over this life we've built." Nathan pulled her close, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what she'd given up for them. "I love you." "I love you too, both of you." She pulled back just enough to meet his eyes. "No regrets, remember?" "No regrets," Nathan echoed. That weekend, Nathan took Emma to the jewelry store while Sophia was at lunch with her mother. Emma took the task seriously, examining every ring with the critical eye of someone who understood the importance of the moment. "That one's too sparkly," she declared. "Sophia doesn't like too much sparkle." "How do you know?" "Because she never wears sparkly things. She likes simple." Emma pointed to a ring with a single diamond on a plain band. "That one. It's pretty, but not too much." Nathan looked at the ring, elegant, understated, exactly Sophia's style, and felt his daughter's wisdom settle over him. "You're right, Bug. That's perfect." The jeweler sized the ring while Emma chatted about how weddings worked, and whether she could be a flower girl, and if they could have cake that wasn't chocolate because she was getting tired of chocolate. "We haven't even asked her yet," Nathan pointed out. "She'll say yes. She loves us." Emma said it with such confidence that Nathan couldn't help but believe her. He planned the proposal for a quiet Sunday evening, nothing elaborate or dramatic. Just the three of them in the apartment that had become home after dinner and before Emma's bedtime. He waited until they were all on the couch together, Emma between them, Sophia's arm around his daughter's shoulders, before pulling out the box. "Sophia," he said, and his voice only shook a little. "I was invisible for a long time. Just the janitor, just the single dad, just someone people looked through without seeing. But you saw me. You saw all of me, the good and the messy and the complicated, and you chose it anyway. You chose us." Sophia's eyes were already wet, her hand covering her mouth. "I know we've only been together for 8 months. I know by conventional standards, this is too fast. But Emma and I talked about it." He glanced at his daughter, who was grinning fit to burst. "And we both agree. You're family. You've been family since the moment you noticed Emma's drawings in my supply closet, since you asked me to meet your parents, since you said yes to this beautiful, messy life." He opened the box and Emma bounced with excitement. "Sophia Reyes, will you marry me? Will you be part of this family officially, permanently, for all the complicated, wonderful years ahead?" Sophia was crying openly now, nodding before she could speak. "Yes, yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." Nathan slid the ring onto her finger, and Emma threw her arms around both of them, squealing with delight, while Sophia laughed and cried and kissed Nathan like he was oxygen, and she'd been holding her breath for years. "I get to be a flower girl, right?" Emma demanded. "I already picked out my dress. It's purple with rainbows." "You haven't picked out anything," Nathan said. "We just got engaged 30 seconds ago. But I'm going to pick out a purple dress with rainbows, and I'm going to throw petals like this." Emma demonstrated an enthusiastic throwing motion that would definitely result in petals everywhere except the aisle. Sophia caught Nathan's eye over Emma's head and mouthed, "I love you." He mouthed back, "I love you more." Emma, catching the exchange, declared, "I love you both infinity plus Sophia plus Dad plus me." And Nathan thought that was probably the most accurate math he'd ever heard. They were married 3 months later in Carmen and Roberto's backyard, with 50 people who mattered, and Emma in a purple dress with rainbow accents that she'd indeed picked out herself. Jenna stood as Sophia's maid of honor and cried through the entire ceremony. Roberto walked Sophia down the makeshift aisle while Carmen sobbed into tissues she'd brought specifically for this purpose. Emma was the flower girl and threw petals with exactly the enthusiasm Nathan had predicted, leaving a trail of rose petals from the back door to the arbor where Nathan waited in the blue shirt Sophia loved, and a nervousness that evaporated the moment he saw her. She was beautiful. Simple white dress, her hair loose around her shoulders, her smile brilliant with joy. And when she reached him and took his hands, Nathan felt the final piece of his life click into place. The officiant spoke about love and family and choosing each other every day, and when it came time for vows, Sophia went first. "Nathan, you taught me that strength doesn't mean doing everything alone, that asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You showed me what it means to show up every single day for the people you love. And Emma," her voice broke slightly as she looked at Nathan's daughter, "you taught me that family isn't about biology. It's about showing up with colored pencils and glitter and an open heart. I promise to love you both, to choose you every day, to be the person who sees you and stays. Always." Nathan's turn. He'd written vows, practiced them, but standing here with Sophia's hands in his and Emma watching with stars in her eyes, the practiced words dissolved. "I was invisible until you saw me," he said simply. "And then you made me believe I was worth seeing. You chose me when I was just a janitor with a daughter and a dream that life could be more than surviving. You made it more. You made it everything. I promise to see you, Sophia, to choose you, to build this life with you one honest, messy, beautiful day at a time." The officiant pronounced them married, and Nathan kissed his wife, while their friends and family cheered, and Emma announced loudly that kissing was still gross, but she'd allow it just this once. The reception was exactly what they'd wanted. Simple food, good music, people they loved celebrating something real. Emma danced with Roberto, Sophia's mom cried happy tears into Nathan's shoulder, and Jenna gave a toast that was equal parts embarrassing and heartfelt. When the sun started setting and the party wound down to just close family sitting around with full plates and fuller hearts, Emma climbed into Nathan's lap. "Dad?" she said quietly. "Can I ask Sophia something?" "Of course, Bug." Emma turned to face Sophia, suddenly shy. "Now that you married my dad, Does that mean you're my mom? The table went quiet. Sophia's eyes filled with tears as she reached across to take Emma's hand. I could never replace your birth mother, Sophia said gently. But if you want, I would be honored to be your mom too. The mom who shows up, who helps with homework, who tells you when you're being stubborn and celebrates when you're brave. Would that be okay? Emma considered this with her characteristic seriousness. Then she nodded. Can I call you Mom? I would love that more than anything. Okay. Emma turned back to Nathan. Dad, can I go play with the flower petals? Yeah, Bug, go ahead. Emma scrambled down and ran off, already calling Sophia Mom to show Jenna her collection of rose petals, and Nathan watched his daughter, their daughter, with gratitude so deep it felt like prayer. Sophia leaned against him, her head on his shoulder, her hand finding his. We did it, she whispered. We did, Nathan agreed. And as the stars came out over Denver and their family laughed and celebrated around them, Nathan thought about the journey that had led here. From invisible custodian to operations director. From single father struggling to make ends meet to husband and father with a family that chose each other every day. From that first desperate favor, pretending to be Sophia's boyfriend, to this moment of complete, honest, beautiful truth. Love didn't need to be extraordinary to be meaningful, he'd learned. It just needed to be honest, real, seen. And they saw each other, every single day. Through the chaos and the quiet, through the struggles and the victories, through all the ordinary moments that built a life. Emma ran back over, breathless and happy, and climbed onto Sophia's lap this time. Mom, can we have cake now? Sophia's smile was radiant. Yeah, sweetheart, we can have cake now. They ate wedding cake under the stars. Strawberry with vanilla frosting because Emma had insisted chocolate was overrated, and Nathan wrapped his arms around his wife and daughter and felt more blessed than he'd ever thought possible. This was it. This was everything. Not perfect, not simple, but real and full and chosen. And that was enough. It was more than enough. It was exactly right. 6 months later, Nathan stood in the doorway of Emma's bedroom watching Sophia help their daughter with her homework. Both of them bent over a math worksheet with identical expressions of concentration. The apartment had been upgraded to a small house, still in Denver, still close to Emma's school, but with enough space for all of Sophia's books and a yard where Emma was planting a garden. Mom, I still don't get it, Emma said, frustration creeping into her voice. Okay, let's try it a different way. Sophia pulled out a piece of paper and started drawing. If you have 3 groups of 4... Nathan's phone buzzed. A text from Richard. Congratulations on the promotion. You've earned it. He'd been named VP of Operations that afternoon, a role he'd never imagined holding when he was cleaning toilets and feeling invisible. But he'd earned it through the same qualities that had always defined him. Seeing systems, solving problems, showing up every single day. Dad, Emma called. Come help. Mom's trying to explain multiplication with drawings, and it's not making sense. Her drawings make perfect sense, Sophia defended. You're just being stubborn. I learned it from you. Nathan laughed and joined them on Emma's bed, the 3 of them crowding around a simple math worksheet like it was the most important thing in the world. Because right now, in this moment, it was. This was his life. Not the one he'd planned, not the one he'd expected, but the one he'd found by being brave enough to say yes when someone needed help. By believing he was worth seeing, by choosing love every single day in all its messy, complicated, beautiful forms. And as Emma finally understood the multiplication problem and Sophia kissed the top of her head in celebration, Nathan thought about that first fake dinner with Sophia's parents, about pretending to be someone's boyfriend and discovering he didn't want to pretend anymore. He thought about infinity plus Sophia, about rainbow shirts and colored pencils, about learning guitar and building solar systems, and all the small moments that had woven together into something extraordinary. Dad? Emma looked up at him. What are you thinking about? Nathan pulled both his girls close. Just how lucky I am. We're all lucky, Sophia said, her hand finding his. We chose each other. Best choice I ever made, Nathan said. And in the small house in Denver, with math homework scattered around them and the evening light painting everything gold, Nathan Cole, former custodian, current VP of Operations, forever father and husband, finally understood what it meant to be truly seen. Not because he'd changed who he was, but because he'd found people who saw him exactly as he was and chose him anyway. That was the real magic. Not the promotion or the house or the picture-perfect family. It was being known, completely and honestly, and loved because of it, not in spite of it. It was showing up every single day for the people who showed up for you. It was infinity plus Sophia plus Emma plus love. And it was enough. It was everything. It was home.